exactly. Yep.
That's a good memory.
Good morning, everybody, and welcome to day number 3 of the 32nd annual 48 Hours at Sebring, presented by Champion Porsche and the Gold Coast and Suncoast regions of the Porsche Club of America. I'm Greg Ginsberg, along with Brian Donati, along with Dick Kelson, and we're going to be bringing you all of the endurance racing that you can handle today from Sebring. We have two 90-minute enduro races today. And first group is out on track right now for their pace lap. I'm going to give you the top 30 entries here out of 56 race cars entered. And we'll talk a little bit about some of the endurance racing rules in Porsche Club of America as we get past that. But as it stands, we're going to have a number of drivers that are going to be racing solo for the entire 90 minutes, and we have a number of cars that we've got multiple drivers sharing the rides. What we're going to do, we're going to give you the top 30 entries here as things get underway. Starting 30th, driving the number 159 Porsche 964 C2 in the H class is Terrence Judge. Starting 29th in the number 171 Spec Boxster, Rob Walker. Rafael Serralta is going to start 28th today. He's in the number 190 GT3 class Porsche 911 with Kenneth Gina in his SP3 Porsche 944 S2. That's the number 5 car, starting 27th. Starting 26th today, driving the 911 Cup class 1987 Porsche 911, the number 4 machine of Rob Trollinger. And then we've got Aurora Strauss. She is in the G class Porsche Cayman. She will be starting 25th. That's the number 26 car. Greg Rochick will be starting 24th today. He's in the number 320 SP3 class Porsche 944 S2 with Colin Doherty driving the G-Class 944 Turbo Cup car. The 086 machine starts 23rd. Michael Gershon is in the number 87 Boxster S. He will start 22nd today. That is another G-Class car. Also in the G-Class, matter of fact, your pole sitter for the class is Doug Crossman. He is in his Porsche 964 America. The number 92 machine starts 21st. Starting 20th today, driving the number 77 H-Class Porsche 997, Ryan McGrath. And starting 19th today, driving the number 840 GTB1 Porsche Cayman, we've got Jordan Bortolotti and Philip Leha. Then starting 18th, driving the number 132 GTB1 Cayman, it's Tim O'Mara. Also in a GTB1 Cayman, Brad Weber. He's driving the number 747 car and starting 17th. Starting 16th today, driving the number 188 GTB1 Cayman, it's the pairing of David and Zach Kutu. John Dunsky is going to start 15th. He's in the number 447 GT3 Cayman. Starting 14th, driving the number 951 GTB1 Cayman, it's Andrew Burke. Peter Havestead is going to be starting 13th. Peter is in the number 28 GTB1 Porsche Cayman. I think that's a PDK machine, so not automatic transmission, but dual clutch machine. Russell Motorana is in his GTB1 Cayman. He's going to be starting 12th in the 726 car. Luis Acevedo is going to be starting 11th. He is in a GTB1 Cayman. That's the 344 car. Starting 10th, we've got the pairing of Charles Liu and Corey Friedman. They are going to be racing in a GT3 class, Cayman GT4 Club Sport. Starting 9th, the number 148 machine of Walter Jessic. He is in a SP 997 class machine with Claudio Kempf in the number 66 GT4 class Porsche 911. He starts 8th as the pace car now heading down the pit lane and turning the field over to our pole sitter, who we'll get to here in just a moment. We've got Francis Florido starting in 7th position. He's in the number 481 GTB1 class Porsche Cayman with Delor Ray. Starting 6th, he's in the number 791 GTB1 Cayman as the green flag is in the air, and our racers now starting to head down towards turn 1 for this 90-minute endurance race. Starting 5th today, driving the number 51 GTB1 Porsche Cayman is Mitch Bowling with Kevin Sear in his GTB1 Cayman, the number 194 machine. Starting in 4th, Weston Jessic started in 3rd position in the SP 997 class Carrera. And then on the front row, Angus Rogers, the black GTB1 Cayman, the number 9 car, and your pole sitter today in the 98 GTB1 Cayman, Ed Dunn.
Tell you what, Greg, as they started this 90-minute Enduro, it looked like it was the last lap. They were 3 wide right off the start, right down into turn 1 with those leaders. One of the things I want to, kind of touch on as we get into this. Remember, Ryan McGrath has started in the front in each of his yellow groups in the sprint races. Now he's starting back in 20th. He's going to have to fight up there to get through there. Again, one driver for that full 90 minutes. So we'll see how he works his way through the traffic coming from the 20th starting position.
And so, and as you mentioned, he's starting 20th. Now, the different sprint groups were grouped together based on approximate speed and performance potential of the different classes that were in them. And so the starting order for this endurance race is based on the fastest lap time that a driver set during either one of yesterday's sprint races. So, obviously, whereas McGrath very quick in his race group that he took, started on pole both days, again, finds himself 20th is because one of the other groups had considerably faster cars there. Other thing for each one of our racers today, regardless of whether they have a co-driver or not, each one of our entries has to make a 5-minute minimum pit stop, and it has to be after the first 15 minutes have elapsed. So you can't see them turn 1 lap, come in right away, and then go back out. They also cannot do it within the last 10 minutes of this race.
Also can't do it if there is a full course yellow for whatever reason. You cannot take that 5 minutes as part of your pit stop.
Exactly. The pits are closed during a full course caution, and the drivers will be allowed. We'll let them know if that is the case. There'll be a sign at the end of the pit lane letting them know. We may see some fueling on some of these cars. A 90-minute stint might be a little long for some of these entries, and so that is definitely allowed. There are going to be, I think, a number of cars, probably like in the 944 type chassis, some of the older chassis. They'll likely be able to make it the entire distance on a tank of fuel, right, Dick?
On the pit stops, you are not allowed to go in on the red yellow, but if you happen to be in the in the pits, you should go buy a lotto ticket.
That is a good advantage for you there, but I mean, in many cases, simply by luck that works out. It's not something that you can really strategize for.
You cannot plan to do that.
Exactly.
Well, you see that on a lot of the professional races as well, right? There's calls that will come out over the radio for the teams that will say, hey, there is a car stopped off, and we'll throw this out there in turn 7, right? They may be throwing a double yellow. Let's get in and let's do it. Let's go ahead and take the strategy, get in there and do it, as long as it is within that first 15 minutes. Obviously, you can't do it. After that 15-minute mark, if you have a potential where there is an opportunity to come down on pit road before they throw that double yellow, as you can see it on the racetrack, where you have a spotter around the facility Some of these do, just for that very reason, to help with that. So, again, this is a great way to learn the strategy, learn what your team needs to do. And again, and Greg, we saw this last fall with this Enduro. Some of them, it's an hour and a half. It's not an Enduro for them. It's a full-on sprint for that full 90 minutes. They get 5-minute break no matter what happens, but that is their full-on sprint.
All right, and we've got Colin, probably Joel and Gina in the chat, and I think we know who Joel is probably cheering on with Ken and Gina there in his 944 S2, the SP3 class. They're racing with us today. Has had very good luck this weekend. Want to welcome everybody. Mark Hoffman in the chat. He's asking if Speed Hive is not working. Mark, if you are looking to get the timing and scoring for this event, if you go to race-monitor.com, we do have the live timing there, as well as, of course, the ticker on the left-hand side of the screen. And we'll hopefully be able to put up in the chat, maybe we'll pin it to the top of the chat, a link to our live timing so that everybody can get there. You can either use the Race Monitor mobile applications, or you can get it directly from their website. And Joel in the chat is confirming, yes, big fan of number 5. big surprise. So we'll like I said, we'll get that information on the timing and scoring up pinned to the top of the screen here in just a few moments for you. But please, again, what we're doing on the left-hand side of the screen, you can see as we scroll through, we break things down not only overall, but also by individual class, as we're, for example, now showing the 2 drivers that are in the H class. And, Brian, a little bit of a surprise there to kick things off there in H. We were just talking about Ryan McGrath, who had some very strong races here this weekend. And for the moment, well, actually, I'll tell you why Ryan McGrath isn't sitting out in front of H, and that's because take the green flag.
Yeah, you know what? I saw a car come down, down pit road.
Yeah.
Right at the very start, and I think it may have been him.
Yeah.
Not sure if it was him. It was a gray car, so I'm not sure if that was Ryan or not. But one did come down the pit road and then made that right-hand turn down. So it may have been him, or he just may not have taken that.
Well, I'm showing Ryan McGrath as the only racer not to complete a lap.
Yeah, and like I said, we did see that car. We did see a car come down pit road at the very beginning and make that right-hand turn. Maybe we'll text his brother-in-law and find out what happened. So
exactly.
Wake him up.
All right, so early on, your overall leader, Ed Dunn, in the number 98 GTB1 Cayman Weston Jessic, in the Spec 997 class, running 2nd overall. And Kevin Sear running 3rd. Sear just reset fast lap of the race, running about 15 hundredths of a second faster than the 2 racers ahead. He's right now about 2 seconds back from Ed Dunn in the battle for the lead in GTB1. But as we're saying, long way to go here today. And as we do, I think we're going to have probably, Brian, some special guests coming in and joining us here, which will be great. Some of the organizers that have put on this wonderful weekend, the 32nd annual 48 Hours at Sebring, from our host regions, the Suncoast and Gold Coast regions of Porsche Club of America. It'd be great to talk about that, as well as some of the things that we have planned coming up here early on in the PCA Club Racing schedule.
Yeah, I think we'll get, as you said, we'll get a bunch of them up in here, just kind of looking around some stuff. Again, right now, it seems like everybody's starting to, just kind of single file out. Again, this is a longer race, right? We've been doing nothing but sprints. You got to get everything you can. You got to take care of the equipment here in this race, Greg. We've talked about this over and over and over again. You're going to see a lot of give and take here in this first, hour of this race.
So here's something interesting in the chat. Rich Tillotson, who we, holding a little conversation with via the chat yesterday, as we were having our conversation here about yellow flag condition or full course yellow conditions and how it affects different pit stops, he says if you're in the pits during a double yellow, the clock continues, but a black or red flag, of course, the pit stop clock stops. And under a red flag, that is certainly the case where the clock will stop. More importantly, he says the crews need to be aware of that. Guess how he knows? Something tells me Mr. Tilton might have had his incurred a small penalty at a previous event. And so yesterday's sprint races, they were all part of the PCA Club Racing National Championship Series as well as the Club Sports Series. I believe these endurance races are part of the National Championship Series, not included with the Club Sports Series. At least that's the information that I've received. Yeah.
Yep. So yeah, this is a national championship race, but not part of that Club Sport Series, which is good because if you're running for that national championship and you don't do well in the sprint side, you come in here and you get.
All right, sounds like Jordan Applebaum having a bit of an issue right now over at turn 16. Did spin the car there. He has now just gotten that car back underway. And we'll probably see him coming at a slower rate of speed. I think it's most likely that car to the inside, driver's right to your left, as he's now just getting back up to speed here on that on the long back straight, the Ullman Straight here at Sebring International Raceway. As a matter of fact, there he is.
Goes there, yeah, going through there. I think Jordan just started racing that car last September. I believe.
Yeah.
Right? So I think that first time Jordan was in that. I know he's got some, a lot of other races under his belt, but I think that that car again, racing there in September. Not sure what he may have done in October, November, but here in January, starting out the 2025 season here with PCA here at Sebring. Again, getting more acclimated to that car as that car goes around. So again, just a quick, looks like just a quick little spin there, but able to continue.
Yeah, indeed. I think he's racing in the Spec Boxster class now, of course. And he said as you said, he's been racing now for about 15 years.
Yeah.
20-year Porsche Club of America member, and it's in a Dave White built machine here. And of course, one from our local region, Suncoast region member.
Yeah, I think when we saw him in September, kind of up north, I think that was his very first weekend in that car.
Yeah, because I think he had been racing in a 944 previously.
So.
Actually, you know what? I just had the wrong information up there. He's not from Suncoast. He's actually out of Fairfax, Virginia.
Yeah, I was going to say, he's close to us.
We saw him,
right,
exactly. And 7-year PCA member, 3 years racing.
The other Jordan Applebaum.
The other Jordan Applebaum, whose last name is Breckeen. But yeah, exactly. Yeah, absolutely. So, sorry about that, Jordan. Now I'm going to have all the Jordan Applebaum fans in the chat correcting me.
One of the other things we'll talk about, and we'll get to this as we get to the pit, is we actually have a camera that you can see on pit road here today a little bit. So there you go. Thanks, Jordan. We'll be able to pick this up when they go by. Who's coming down pit road, who's not. You'll see them as they're, again, on race monitor. You'll see them fall back down, but then you'll see them pick them back up. And Greg, it looks like there's 11 different classes in this Enduro. So it's a lot to go on. You're going to end up with some of these cars, obviously getting into traffic as this hour and a half goes on. You've got to navigate through that, and you've got to navigate through that quickly, but cautiously as well. Because, again, if you're not racing in that class, it is something that, you've got to be able to work through. So this is a paced race, basically.
Indeed. And if I start to screw things up, remember I only have 10 fingers and toes, so with 11 classes, there's bound to be an issue.
Yeah.
Ed Dunn, currently your overall leader, and Ed just reset fast lap, turned in a 2:18.75. Kevin Sear, who's running third overall, second in GTB1, for the moment, running about 4/10 off of that pace. So we talked about how he was starting to close things in before. He was about 2 seconds off of done early on. Now sitting about 4.2 seconds back. Walter Jessic in his Spec 997 machine still second overall, though. But fairly tight fight. You know, we ought to maybe take a look here at the front of the field. So as Dunn is starting to stretch things out, here we go. This is the second, third, fourth in the pack here. As that GTB1 class, Kevin Sear, Angus Rogers, Mitch Bowling, all now within about 2 seconds of one another, all in very close proximity. And then Walter Jessic in the white and green Spec 997 machine running 6th overall. So he's got a couple of the GTB1 machines sitting between he and Weston Jessic.
Yeah, again, it you know, as we were just talking about, you know, you're going to run up on some of these cars and you're going to get into some of these other battles, and you just got to be able to pick and choose at this point, because again, this is not just a 30-minute, you know, as we saw yesterday, Dick, just a 30-minute. You got to get through there quickly because you've got other competitors here. There's still a pit stop that has to be made. Some of them are going to come in for, you know, the faster cars are going to come in for fuel, right? They're going to have to fuel in there. Some of them are going to go through driver changes, right? We're going to be able to pick that up. So you're going to see at this point a lot of strategy going on through here for the first, you know, probably 30, 35 minutes. And I think that's when you're going to start to see that pit stop. Be curious to see of the, you know, of the larger cars, or of the faster cars, I should say, not the larger cars, because they're all the same, pretty much the same size, but of the faster cars, who's the first one to pit, and does that change the dynamic and strategies of other teams, right? Yeah. Knowing when they need to pit and when they not. I'm sure everybody down there understands their fuel mileage and what it is they need to do with these faster cars.
And they also realize that no matter how they did their planning, it may or may not come by that way.
Right, exactly. You know, again, as we talked about these full course cautions, the last thing you want to be doing is knowing that you're running low on fuel when a full course caution comes out, and you are, you know, you're either stuck out there or you ignore the pits closed sign, come in to take fuel and incur a penalty, you know, in order to do so. Very challenging there. So in the chat, and I want to thank Franklin Prey for giving a good answer. Brandon C. want to know what time everything is wrapped up today, because he wants to swing by with the kids, which I think is a great idea. There is no fee at the gate. You can come right in. As Franklin mentioned, the racing itself ends at 12:35, right before we take a lunch break. But if you want to see some beautiful cars on track, our HPDE, High Performance Driver Education drivers that have been with us all weekend long, they are going to have an open track from 1:15 today to 4 o'clock. And so technically they won't be racing, but you're going to see some beautiful cars and a lot of folks really enjoying their Porsche machinery and this wonderful Sebring International Raceway course all the way up until about 4 p.m. today. And so we have some folks in the chat, Brian, asking about Ed Dunn and whether or not it's the same racer who dominated the SP3 class for many years. And yes, and indeed it is. Ed's going to be racing in this endurance race by himself. He doesn't have a co-driver, and he is in the number 98 Porsche Cayman. And he represents the Chicago region of PCA, has been racing for 53 years. Talk about what do we say? Old age and treachery, or at least we'll say treachery. We'll leave the old age part out there. He's been a PCA member for 12 years.
Experienced, maturely experienced.
Yes, Well, with 10 national championships with PCA and over 100 race wins with the organization, I think he's probably been exerting treachery over the rest of the SB3 field for quite some time. Said he got into it. His mom and dad took him to a stock car race at age 7, and ever since then he'd wanted to be a race car driver.
I believe that, excuse me, Ed is supported by Midwest Eurosport.
Exactly.
Who have been supporting us here at 48 Hours for many years.
Yeah, indeed. As a matter of fact, he said that it was a new build by Eurosport, and he did take the last year's national championship in this same chassis. So looks like he is starting the year off very, very well here as your overall leader at the moment, with now over 4 seconds on the rest of the field.
You know, Greg, we look at some of these battles going on here, especially in this in the sport Boxster. You know, as you talked about, Bernard Nussbaumer and Daniel Rubble is about 3 seconds back, but then Alex Al, as we've talked about all day yesterday, again, still hanging in there. He's only 7/10 of a second back. And then Lawson Weiler, and I don't want to really talk about Lawson because we talked about him yesterday.
That's right.
Before he did that little spin there coming out of turn 5. Again, that car 21 seconds back, but that's kind of really the closest battle. When you look at in SP3, Greg Rochick and Ken Agena now. Ken's only 2.4 seconds, but again, Ken is mixed in with some traffic there, trying to get around that, trying to get back up to that 320 machine.
Getting word of some very close racing in the spec Boxster class. Brian Dick coming into the field. Kurt Leda in the 002 blue Boxster. John Burke in the number 89 silver Boxster. And they just now crossed the start-finish line. They're heading down into turn 1. Hearing that maybe they're taking the rubbing is racing a little bit too much to heart. Got together over at the hairpin at turn 7, and then again over at turn 11 as they were coming out of Collier. Hopefully they're seeing them right here coming into turn 3. Hopefully they've gotten that out of their systems here early on, or it could be a very long race for a lot of people.
We'll have to take a look here as well. I know we have one car that now here comes another car down on pit road. So these guys right around that 25 minute, 21, 22 minute mark, taking advantage of this, kind of coming in early. That looks like that is that's the 002, Greg, that you were just talking about. Now I don't know if he's going to pit or if Kurt Lade is going all the way back behind the wall. We'll have to see if he comes back out. But here comes another car that's out there, and we'll try to pick up that number. Again, we'll see whether or not they go back out on the racetrack. It looks like they're doing. They're going to come right to your living room there. I think that's the 87, either 87 or the 89. That may have been John Burke in that 89 machine, Greg. So both of those drivers on pit road. See if they continue through there. It looks like maybe Burke may have been continuing his, get through there. But as you were talking about with that potential contact there, and do it. So whether or not that continues, gets back out on the racetrack. But again, early opportunities to come down in that 20-minute mark, do it, and then go in the rest of the way. You know, one of the drivers, Greg, that we were just talking about, actually, that came up here right before we went on the air, Connor Henderson, he's dropped all the way back in that SP3. I know they had some electrical issues earlier on, but right now, I believe he is off track somewhere or has turned in and turned his car and made that right-hand turn. He's already 1 lap down.
Well, in that car, we talked to Connor a little bit before the race. They had some issues with that machine during practice on on I think Thursday here, and those issues I think were wholly and solely related to how bumpy this racetrack is. I think we talked about it.
I thought it was pretty smooth. I don't see a problem with it.
Not at all. I mean, we've talked about how Sebring can loosen up a lot of nuts and bolts. Well, some of those nuts and bolts, I think in Connor's case, had to do with the positive and negative terminals to his battery. And there may have been some crossing of the streams, as they say. Yeah, so good to see that they got that car started. He did start, I think, towards the back of the pack because he was not able to get the car out for either of the sprint races yesterday.
Yeah.
And he's been sharing that car with his father this weekend. But today, Connor was planning to race it solo. So we'll continue to check and see if he continues to circulate here. Connor is actually a member of the national staff of the PCA, and I believe I have to go back and check his title. I believe it is the director of marketing for PCA.
Or business manager.
Business manager of club racing.
Yeah,
that's it. Sorry. Yep, club racing business manager. Thank you.
The PCA member pipes up.
Yeah, Greg, I think some of those cars that we were talking about, especially in that Boxster, in that Sport Boxster class there, Kurt Leda, I think he has gone behind the wall. I think he was the one that we saw come down really slowly. It looks like John Burke, we talked about him earlier, he's back out on the racetrack.
Right.
Also, Sean O'Brien.
The 441
car.
Another spec Boxster.
Yeah, looks like that car is off track too. So.
Right, and if you remember the 002 car was one of the ones that we talked about having some contact with another, or possible contact,
right,
say, with
exactly.
another car out there. So perhaps there was something, and maybe they need to take a look at that car and assess if there is some damage to it or not.
If he comes back out, but again, looks like. Again, as we're up, and we've got one car spinning. That's the 411 down into turn 7 under the heavy braking down there. Let's see, that is actually going to be, he tried to get really on the camera right there.
411
is it 411?
Yeah.
Is that the information?
Yeah, so no need to call information there. Yeah, unfortunately.
We know where he is?
That is going into the hairpin at 7. That is David Nissenbaum.
Yep. Okay.
In the G-Class Porsche Boxster, turning his Boxster into a front-engine car.
Yeah. Well, it looked like he got in there a little bit hot. I don't believe he had any help getting around there. He kind of came in there, and you saw a little bit of the brake lock up, but then ended up, going around right there. Took out a couple of those cones. That would be a penalty in the autocross too, by the way, David. So, just so you know, you'd get a little penalty there.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I just, again, locked it up there, kind of spun around, got out of the way. As I said, I don't believe there was any help getting into that turn.
Yeah.
That is one of the areas on this track that will bite you and you don't expect it.
And it's not a nibble as a bite. It is a bite. It can bite you.
Right.
Looks like he was able to continue. We'll see whether or not he comes and brings that down pit road to the attention of the crew as he swings back around the racetrack here. This would be a good opportunity for him to check because, again, not only did he get into the grass there, but I'm sure there was some potential flat spot on those tires going in down there, hitting it on that concrete or that asphalt right down in there before you make that turn, make that right-hand turn, that hairpin. And again, you see these cars as they come out of turn 17. You see how bumpy that is. One car way wide there, really completely missing the exit through there. We'll get what number that was when they come back by, but definitely clearly missed it. There's the 0. That was the 481 that missed that entrance. The 001 also on pit road. Looks like they come right back down. I'm not sure if they'll continue or not. They were pretty slow down on the pit road there. That was actually Bernard Nussbaumer. So that was your actual leader right there.
Right.
Going into going in there. So we'll see whether or not that driver continues. I believe that could have been where they, that could have been their pit stop. That's going to drop him all the way down into third in class right now. So he may have been on pit road for a while and back up. And there again, you can see shovel cars now coming down pit road, taking the opportunity. Is we're right at that 1 hour mark. You can see them there going through.
All right, Brian, just got word, and he's probably coming down towards turn 7 now. The 194 machine, that's Kevin Sear. He's running second overall, second in GTB1. Just had a moment over at turn 5, spun the car over there. He has now gotten the car back underway, but that puts him in pretty precarious position. Angus Rogers at the time was about 3 seconds back. Third overall, third in the GTB1 class, with Mitch Bowling right behind. So we may see Kevin Sear, who made a real good run from fourth on the grid to start this race. We might see him now dropping back a couple positions. Also getting word that a number of our corner workers now taking a look at the 344 blue and yellow Porsche Cayman of Luis Acevedo. The front splitter was reported as having been dragging on the pavement just a little bit. So we'll wait to see if there are any other words or comments about that from our safety workers and corner workers around the course. So let's do this, gentlemen. Dick, Brian, we're about 30 minutes into this 90-minute sprint race. There you go. That was the evening race, but 90-minute endurance race. Let's take a quick break. We'll thank some of our partners and sponsors that are bringing you all the action here this weekend at the 48 Hours of Sebring. We'll be right back.
For many enthusiasts, an OEM brake system just won't cut it. OEM brake systems are designed to get your car to the grocery store while being easily manufactured in large quantities at a low price. Unfortunately, those design objectives don't mesh very well with the goals of enthusiasts craving the latest technology, greatest performance, and the most attention-grabbing aesthetics. Regardless of what you're seeking in brakes, Essex has you covered. Our partner in providing you with the ultimate brake system for your car needs no introduction. With countless wins in Formula 1, NASCAR Sprint Cup, AMS, TTM, and WRC, AP Racing Components are a choice of champions at all levels of motorsport and the most desirable name in brakes.
Join us for a 7-day cruise, the Treffen at Sea, to celebrate the 70th anniversary of Porsche Club. We'll be cruising August 30th to September 6th and showcasing the history and majesty of the East Coast. We'll stop in Newport, in Boston, Portland and St. John, and Halifax along the way, where you'll find import Porsche events. You'll also enjoy special entertainment, Porsche celebrity appearances, seminars, competitions, dinners, and the highly anticipated Porsche Diecast Concourse at Sea. The Enchanted Princess will both depart and return from New York City, making it a round trip. You'll experience incredible cuisine, culture, history, and nature, plus Porsche surprise events when we stop at port. To learn more and register, please visit PCA.org and click the Events tab.
At Hankook Tire, we strive to create a universal moment when the car and driver become one. Our aim is to develop a safer, more pleasant, and more comfortable driving experience from the moment the driver turns on the engine. Through strong braking power, smooth handling, driving comfort, and guaranteed safety, Hankook products deliver an authentic driving experience beyond mobility. Our tires provide total control of speed and direction while ensuring safety and comfort on the road. Embrace driving emotion and embrace the feel and excitement of being behind the wheel with Hankook Tire. Hankook competition tires are the perfect match of performance and longevity. Visit HankookMotorsports.com to buy today.
About to hit the track without coverage for your car? Buy HPDE insurance in minutes at LockedInMotorsports.com. Whether you drive a 911 or a Boxster, protect your car against physical damage during HPDE and track day events with HPD insurance from Locked In Motorsports, administered by Locked In Affinity. Coverage includes modifications you've done to your car, 2 drivers at each event, demonstration laps your instructor drives, and more. Worried about the trip home? Locked In Motorsports also offers off-track insurance for your non-licensed race car or track car while in transit, in storage, and in the paddock, plus options for your trailer, equipment, and tools. Insure your Porsche today at LockedInMotorsports.com.
To the 48 Hours at Sebring, presented by Champion Porsche, the Gold Coast and the Suncoast regions of the Porsche Club of America. I'm Greg Ginsburg, along with Dick Kelson, Brian Donati, and we are in the midst of our first 90-minute, not sprint, but endurance race of the day. We will have two here today to wrap up our 3-day coverage of this wonderful event. And as we take a look at the field, Ed Dunn, your current leader overall, leads the GTB 1 class over Angus Rogers and Mitch Bowling. And as we suspected, Kevin Sear, who had that spin just before we went to break, he falls back to 4th overall, 4th in class. Weston Jezik leads the Spec 997 class over Walter Jezik. They're running 5th and 6th overall. In GT4, Claudio Kemp is your leader. He is running 9th overall. And as we roll down through here, the pair of Charles Liu and Corey Friedman, they currently are running, let's see, where are they running? I just had them a moment ago. Well, just as I say that, I think they may have come down the pit lane.
Yeah, maybe they're dropping down a little bit.
Yeah, as we're starting to see some cars on the pit lane, they will probably be making a change there in just a few moments. But Colin Doherty, currently your G-Class leader as well. Terrence Judge, I believe, leading the H-Class. So, Dick, there was a question in the chat concerning the 13-13 rule that has been a part of Porsche Club Racing for a very long time. I don't believe it is any longer, but can we explain a little bit about what that 13-13 rule was? And I think it probably came about when I talked about the close or maybe too close of racing that we had on the backside of the course a few minutes ago.
Yes, excuse me. If you make contact with another car, that was the pat on the back that you got.
The pat on the back was kind of like the pat out the door for it involved a suspension for a period of time, right?
You're going to be, yes. You'll not race for 13 months, and if anything else happens, you get another 13 months.
Wow.
But they have loosened it. There have been a lot of changes, obviously, over the years.
Sure.
The first one of these, it was only a 2-day race. There were no enduros.
Okay.
So it was a 2-day weekend then. And enduro came in a few years into it when we expanded the program.
Okay.
And they adapted rules as years go by as
Sure.
well when they learn. We learn more and we adjust for things.
Exactly. And so the question came up, and no, the 13-13 rule is not part of PCA Club Racing any longer, not in effect this weekend. But rest assured, we'd have a crack stewarding crew that will be investigating, shall we say. You typically find in PCA Club Racing and most club racing, it's not like F1 where you're going to find penalties assigned almost immediately, but rest assured, things like that don't go unnoticed. So let's take a look here. And somebody asked, somebody in the chat, Automaton asked, how frequent are these endurance races? And Dick, I'm fairly certain that most, as we see a couple more cars coming down the pit lane for their mandatory 5-minute stops, some of them involving driver changes, some not, that I think that most of the PCA Club race events on the 24 event schedule involve an endurance race now, correct?
Yes, that is correct. Excuse me. I know my way around the southeast, and I don't know of any club race around this area that doesn't have an enduro included in their race.
Right. Yeah, and so the next events on the schedule going to be mid-March, March 21st and 23rd at Virginia International Raceway. I haven't seen the schedule yet, but actually I can tell you right now that, yes, an enduro is involved. And if you want to go to PCAclubracing.org/schedule, it lays out the schedule, and actually there are a number of events that don't include enduros, but it's actually a nice layout here because it'll tell you exactly what components there are on each weekend. And so there'll be an endurance race at VIR. That same weekend, there is an event at Thunderhill Raceway Park out on the West Coast, out in Willows, California, but there's no endurance race there. And Brian, looks like they are displaying the black flag.
That is for Lawson Wilder. So looks like he's getting the black flag. But as you were talking about that, Greg,
Right.
talking about the Enduros, we have a flurry of activity on pit road with right around in that 40-minute mark of this 90 minutes. So guys trying to do it halfway. Coming up in there. We've also got a lot of attrition starting to happen through this race. So, again, we talked about David Nissenbaum when he spun that car. He is actually now off. Gershon and Ben Wallace, they look like they have retired. They're 2 laps down, within their field of that G class. So, again, starting to see some of the, it looks like Richard Bennett maybe on pit road there making his stop. Connor Henderson, we talked about him earlier on. Looks like Daniel Rubel maybe on pit road as well. We did see Jordan Applebaum in that 107 make that right-hand turn, go back behind the wall. Kurt Leda in that 002 along with the 441 of Sean O'Brien. Those 2 are off. So, again, we're starting to see a little bit of attrition here amongst these cars. So, again, cars only really lasting that 35, 40-minute mark, Greg.
Yeah, and I think, again, a lot of people are realizing, and since so many of these cars were run during the sprint races yesterday as well, what the additional mileage here at Sebring and the number of additional times they have to go through Sunset, for example, what it is doing to the chassis on these cars. And so if the driver comes down the pit lane and they head back to the paddock for some reason that they think they need to effect some kind of repairs or what have you, you hear about this all the time in with IMSA or other endurance series where the car will be taken back behind the wall for repairs. If you do that, you're not coming back out. Your day is essentially done.
Right.
That's correct. And everyone who says that Sebring is flat, I'll tell you, we actually have more changes in altitude. They just happen to all be 1 inch or so.
The elevation is 1 to 2 inches, and that's about it.
That's it, but there's many different spots around this spot.
Could be more depending on where you hit the bumps just right. You're 1 to 2 inches in your elevation. Could be because all 4 tires are coming off the ground.
Yes.
But it looks like we've got a couple cars again that are getting, and I think they're trying to do the Lawson Wilder. And I don't see anything wrong with the car. I'm wondering if maybe it's the crew trying to get with the.
And I
officials.
haven't heard anything over the radio. Yeah. That is the car being shared by Lawson Wilder and Miji Song.
Yeah, I'm just wondering if the crew can't get a hold of him via a radio, right? So the radio's not being hooked up to tell him to pit, and so they've made the call into the flag stand to say, hey, please black flag our driver to get him to come in and come down to pit road. That happens a lot. If you've ever watched, even on the professional, ranks in the IMSA and even in the Michelin Pilot Challenge, Greg, that happens a lot. The radios just don't work for whatever reason. They get an electrical issue. The only way to do it is to black flag the driver to get them to come in to make that pit stop. So being a spotter in several different series in my career, that's exactly what happens. We can't make it. We get them to black flag the driver, get the driver to come in. There you see the 791 getting ready to roll back out onto the racetrack after making his pit stop. That looks like Della Ray there. So again, that driver getting ready to go back. That's in the GTB1. Again, still a flurry of action going on pit road right here. Another car getting ready to come off. I think there's a 28, the black and the green car right there on the left-hand side. That is Peter Haberstad. I'm not sure if there was a driver change on that, Greg. You may want to look and see if we have 2 drivers for that car.
And which machine was this?
That was the 28 there of Peter Haberstad.
Let's see, Haberstad. I
think they did do a driver change there. So
yeah, I didn't have listed a co-driver on the event on the grid sheet here. Yeah, I was going to say that green came and it looked like another driver jumped in. Let me see. I might have some additional information that I can pull up here via another method to see if there is another driver listed. You see, I don't have another driver listed for that machine, but
maybe he got out to take a little
stretch his
restroom
legs.
break. He knew he had 5 minutes, so
Yeah, exactly.
he run back behind the wall.
Stretch his legs a little bit.
That has happened before. So, although I think that was to go grab an ice cream. Oh wait, that's a whole other issue.
No, that's not Tom Cruise.
So again, 45 minutes left to go. Again, these drivers splitting this almost in half, right? I mean,
right.
Just in that 40-minute mark to go through it. I think this is where we talked about some of these faster cars. They needed to come in. They needed to get that fuel. They probably can go the exact 45, maybe 46 minutes. Again,
right.
These teams are smart enough to know what the fuel mileage is on these cars. So they probably know they can go 46 minutes, so they stop in between that. And again, it's all about strategy within these classes. Another race kind of there off pit road. I think you see one of them may have been Lawson Wilder. Right behind there. We'll see whether or not he continues to go out, and we'll see here coming off. That does look like it is the Lawson Wilder machine. I don't believe that car was on there for 5 minutes.
Right.
There he goes. Right back out on the racetrack. So that was a quick 5 minutes.
Yeah. And I think that might have been Colin Doherty that we saw there as well.
Right in front.
In the 944. Yeah, in the red 944. We'll try and get that verified. I think we also had the 079 of Lou, the car being shared by Lou and Freeman. And I think that one also had found itself on the pit lane for a while.
Again, some of these drivers haven't pitted just yet. Ed Dunn doesn't look like he's made a pit stop yet. Angus Rogers doesn't look like he's made a pit stop yet. Greg, you talked about Kevin Sear and that possible spin in that 194 machine.
Right.
Doesn't look like he's made a pit stop yet. Weston Jessic or Walter Jessic looks like they haven't made a pit stop yet. So there's several drivers up in the front that potentially have not made a pit stop that have been moving up through through the field.
Yeah, and from the looks of it, since we have right at the top of the overall field, the GTB1 class, I don't think that Dunn, Rogers, Sear, Acevedo, Burke, Weber have brought their cars in yet for service. I don't believe the Kutu car has come in yet either.
Acevedo's on pit road.
Right now.
They're
Yep.
actually
Okay.
fuel in that car in Acevedo.
Right.
Remember, he had problems with that car yesterday.
Yeah, he did.
During his sprint races. There you go. See him right there on the left-hand side.
There
you can
it
see
is.
the fuel going in the car. And, if you've ever done one of these Enduros, that 5 minutes, you're looking to get back out there. Tires start to cool off a little bit more with those 5 minutes. So, where you've got the heat in the tires. And again, this is a pretty warm day still out here. Second can of fuel going into that Porsche and that 344 machine. Again, that 5 minutes seems like forever.
Yes. So, been watching this weekend, Brian, the Battle of the Jessics. They're now running 4th and 5th in Spec 997, and Weston Jessic, I think, has had the measure of Walker for the majority of the weekend, and currently the gap between those two cars at about 10 seconds. And so as some of our GTB1 racers are starting to come down the pit lane, like the 344 of Acevedo, they are, at least for the time being, heading up into the order. Just got word that the 132 machine has now gone back. That's Tim O'Mara in his GTB1 Cayman. Has just taken his car behind the wall.
That was their second time on pit road. I saw them earlier coming down pit road, and then when he went out, it looks like they may have a problem. Looks like something with the left front, because when he started to come off pit road, you see a little bit of smoke coming out of that left front wheel. So I wonder if it could be a potential brake
issue,
there, but something that's doesn't seem to be normal.
And not something that they'd be able to resolve on the pit lane. So it looks like his day is now done.
again, as we talked about, still a lot of these, and I think here's where we're starting to see, Greg, these top drivers starting to come down onto pit road. We've got still a flurry of cars sitting on pit road. So again, sometimes your strategy does really, really well, right, and get you in there. Sometimes these cars, knowing that they are racing in the one class, you're being told when the leader of your class is pitting, and then that's the strategy, and that's what makes these Enduros so much fun. And probably some of these crew chiefs on these cars, they probably had full heads of hair before they started doing Enduros, and now all of a sudden the team wants to get into Enduros, and now everybody has lost their hair. Everybody's, just completely doing it, because the strategy will take its toll on you after a while. And again, this is for national championship points. This is the opening round for this in this Enduro side. So this is something that you want to make sure that your car is able to last the entire time through here. You've got to make the right strategy calls.
All right, so if we take a look at the SP3 class, Kenagina now moving into the lead. Well, more than in the lead, it looks like he may be one of the last ones to pit, Brian, in SP3. Currently has over a minute and a half on Robert Linder, with, at least at the moment, with Gary Stanberry running in third, a lap down. Greg Rochick also a lap down. Hiffman 2 laps down, Weber 3 laps down, and Connor Henderson, as we mentioned, and we think we're fairly certain Connor retired the car, only completed 6 laps. In 911 Cup, we've got 2 racers. We've got Rob Trollinger and Scott Gianu, and Gianu now showing is being 2 laps down at the moment, so we may have him either on the pit lane, but I don't think Trollinger has come in for his pit stop yet. In Spec Boxster, Mark Carlucci, and actually, I'm going to see if we can pick them up next time they go by. We've got Carlucci, and John Burke, the 949 and the 89 Boxsters, a black Boxster and a silver Boxster. They are currently your leaders in class, and they were separated by about 0.2 of a second the last time they came by the start-finish line and started a lap number 20. So I'll pick them up, and we'll see if we can get some info here on them.
And Greg, I don't believe either one of them has made a pit stop.
No, I don't believe so. And they're showing about 50 seconds on Pashley, and then everybody else is a full, at the minimum, a full lap down.
Yeah. Just our top 3 cars in that Spec Boxster are on the same lap. Everybody else is a lap to 2 laps down. So again, that is where that I believe those pit stops are. And again, a ton of flurry now, really on pit road. So as these cars, and I believe this is where you're going to see the overall leaders, this is their time frame to come down and get their fuel where they need it and make their driver change and get it. Because I'll tell you what, guys, the time is running out of where you can pit.
All right, and we were just talking about Spec Boxster. They're coming down into turn 1 now, and we have a new leader in Spec Boxster. John Burke has gotten around Mark Carlucci, who was almost 3 seconds faster that time by. We just saw the black 949 of Carlucci go through turn 1, and here they come down into turn number 3. That silver and blue number 89. He's your new Spec Boxster leader.
Yeah, again, neither one of these guys, I believe, is pitted yet.
Right.
By looking at some data that we have, up here in the tower. So again, I think when that all resets, I think you could end up with Bernard Nussbauer and Alex Au. That could be your top leaders once that pit stops happen.
Yeah, and we'll have to see. I think Chris Pashley may have brought his car finally down onto the pit lane, as he did not hasn't completed his 20th lap yet. That is the orange 95 car. As a matter of fact, I think I see it in the line there, just ahead of the number 9 machine.
There's one of our GTB cars, one of our GTB leaders there. That's Brad Weber right there on the left-hand side, just behind that, right there in that black in that black one, that 747. Looks like they're getting ready to make a driver change as well.
Yep.
Looks like they're going to go ahead and take that fuel, I believe. A couple cans of fuel, get that put in there, and then they'll be right back up again. Brad Weber, was up into 6th place, overall.
Yep. And we saw 1970, the baby blue baby blue 911, the number 66 machine. That's Claudio Kempf, and he is showing right now, even with the pit stop, 3 laps up on Adrian Miner and the entry of Adrian Miner and Ben Arce. So now with that pit stop done, I think that gap now likely on pace. That the 198 machine was actually something that they were somewhat lacking coming into today's race. They started 53rd out of 56 entries.
I tell you what, Greg, with the attrition we've seen here, with that, we've got almost as many cars on the track as we do on pit road. Dick?
I was going to pass something along. I've heard from one of my friends here in the region saying, I'm impressed with the YouTube coverage. Camera locations are as good or better than the coverage of the 12-hour.
There we go.
As are the announcers. Let's all pat ourselves on.
I was going to say, speaking for Dick, he thanks you for all that, because God knows we couldn't and do it without him. We've got the 951 machine, Brian, coming down the pit lane now. Actually, it looks like he may be getting ready to head back out. And that 951 car, that is Andrew Burke's GTB1 machine, currently running 4th in class, and I think we finally started to see some of our leaders in GTB1 coming down the pit lane and taking service.
Yeah, I agree with you, and I think Burke just came into pit road. He was just making that turn. Like I said, we've got just as many cars on the pit road as we do, I think, on the racetrack. Yeah. So with 34 minutes left to go, Greg, remember, they cannot make a pit stop when there's 10 minutes left to go
in the race.
Use that 5. So the time is running short. You've got about, if my math is correctly, and I'm not going to ask you the math.
No,
they've got about, just under 20 minutes where they've got to come in. So You're right. I think we're seeing our overall leaders, Ed Dunn, Kevin Sear, Angus Rogers, Andrew Burke was one of them in that 951. We saw Brad Weber also on pit road. I think Brad Weber's still there. Going off, so I believe that is the
131. Well, that's the 131 we just saw go by. Should also mention that shot that we have of the pit lane. There are, I think, 4 or 5 pit stalls behind our camera as well that we just couldn't pick them all up.
There's the 131 that just now came in, so that's Weston Jessic just now getting on pit road. Looks like they're making a driver change.
And Weston was showing 2 laps up on Walter Jessic. So Walter, and I'm trying to see back if Walter is there on the pit lane or not. The 148 car. I would have suspected that these 2 machines would probably be in about the same pit stall or very close to one another.
Greg, let me just touch on something. I just saw this with Weston Jessic getting out of the car. And I don't believe another driver's going in. I think he's the only driver of record here, and I could be wrong there. I'm only seeing one on the listing. But I think when they go to refuel the car, the driver has to get out of the car. I see them jump over the wall and then come back. So we'll see, and I'll recognize the helmet. Again, 5-minute pit stop is a long time. Put 2 cans of fuel in this car and then have the driver drop back in. You can definitely do that in 5 minutes, unless it's you or I, and then we got to only get 1 fuel can of gas because it's going to take us that full 5 minutes to get in and out of the car. So.
And this is the time, ladies and gentlemen, where Greg looks and checks whether or not fueling has to be done with the driver out of the car. I know a lot of other club racing endurance series that is a requirement.
Right. We'll have to take a look. If there's somebody in the chat that could do it really quickly as we look that up, but I'm almost positive I saw several drivers get out, go over to the wall, fuel come in, and then those drivers, remembering what the colors of those helmets look like, get back in, unless they're not only sharing the seat, Greg, but they're sharing the helmets as well. Again, looks like most of our drivers have already made their pit stops coming through here. It looks like we still have a few that may not have pitted just yet. So we'll have to see what happens with that.
From what's left of my memory of the rules, I believe it is a requirement for the person to get out of the car, and it's busy now. They're a bit paranoid about getting caught out there towards the end and not being able to get in the 5-minute pit stall.
One car very, very slow heading down
towards turn 7.
Yeah, I don't know if that's Colin Doherty there as well.
No, we'll see, because we had just seen Doherty
come
come off the pit lane.
Yeah, we'll have to see what happens. Very, very slow getting down in there, and I do believe that is him in that with that.
And he's got a hand out the window.
Yeah, looks like he's going to go straight.
He's going to be heading right over to the 7 Hotel and get a room for the night, it seems like.
Oh, he's giving the DE passing signal.
Yeah, that is Colin Doherty there. So unfortunate there, because I think he was actually leading.
He was.
During his pit stop. He was leading that G class here, completing that 21 laps. What that's going to end up probably doing.
Well, Jordan Simon was on the same lap, Brian, so that's likely going to move Simon up into the lead probably the next time he comes by.
Well, I think Simon's on pit road, so
okay.
I think that's where that came through. So I think that what that's going to do is that's going to throw Doug Grossman back up, because looking at timing, his last lap was over 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Which means he went and made that pit stop. So.
Yeah, indeed. And so there we go. So Simon now showing as being in the lead with 22 laps complete. Crossman now in second, about 2.5 seconds back is what we're seeing from the live timing here, with Doherty now, of course, dropping down the third, with Nissenbaum and the Gershon Wallace car having retired early, though, Brian. I think that is where Doherty is likely going to finish this race in the G Class's third position. And we are getting also confirmation, Jeff Scott in the chat, saying the driver must be out. Only 2 people across the wall, including the driver. Yeah. So either the driver gets out and holds the fire extinguisher, or they jump over and out of the way for somebody else to hold it. Yeah. Of course, it makes sense since the driver is already in the Nomex, although probably huffing and puffing at the time to go ahead and do that. Thank you, Jeff. Really appreciate the additional information. I think Kevin Schilling also pointed out that the driver must be out for fuel, and as did Steve Ryan. Thank you, because I'll tell you guys, I am going through the PCA Club Racing rules at this point, and well, I'm sure it does, but I've only hit the 30th mention of fuel out of 65 in the rule set, so I'll be there by the next race. All right, so we now have a little bit under 30 minutes remaining in this 90-minute endurance race, not sprint race. So let's take another quick break, gentlemen. Thanks to our partners and sponsors. And when we come back, we'll take you all the way to the checkered flag here for our first of 2 endurance races of the day at the 48 Hours of Sebring. We'll be right back.
Champion Porsche is the proud presenting sponsor of the PCA 48 Hours of Sebring. Since our founding in 1988, our passion for luxury and performance has turned our Popito Beach home into the largest and top-ranked premier Porsche center in America. Today, Champion Porsche buys, sells, and services Porsche vehicles of all types and serves as a central hub for all things Porsche and Porsche Motorsport. Whether you're located in South Florida or around the world, visit us online at champion-porsche.com or check out our motorsports offerings at championmotorsport.com.
Suncoast Porsche is the greater Tampa Bay area's home of legalized adrenaline. Our Sarasota dealership is not just a place to find your next Porsche. With our commitment to exceptional customer service and car shopping made easy, our Suncoast Porsche Parts and Accessories brand offers a selection of the latest and greatest parts available for your modern or classic Porsche. Whether you're looking to personalize, upgrade, or repair your car, we offer both original Porsche parts and aftermarket options at great pricing. Visit us today at suncoastporsche.com to learn more.
Sebring Motor Garages is the official luxury motor condo and townhome partner of Sebring International Raceway, providing a premier destination for secure, customizable, and luxurious automotive storage less than 1 mile south of the circuit. Our location on US Highway 98 provides easy access from the circuit for pre-race preparations, post-race storage, and quick getaways for weekend events. Our facility is available for tours and offers 55-foot wide garage storage, townhomes, and a 3,000 square foot clubhouse. Visit us at SebringMotorGarages.com to learn more about your new automotive home.
Speedcon Communications is the world leader in racing radio electronics. Created by racers for racers, only Speedcom has first-hand experience in understanding the needs of competitors behind the wheel or in the pits. We offer motorsports radio and communication systems, as well as a related line of high-performance products and accessories in all facets of the motorsports industry. Our Daytona Beach headquarters in the World Center of Racing pairs with our Barcelona hub to distribute Speedcom solutions to series and competitors around the world. Visit us at speedcomracing.com today.
PCA Club Racing kicks off the West Coast season at Thunderhill Raceway Park March 22nd and 23rd. Hosted by the Golden Gate region, this event will include 3 sprint races on the 3-mile East course. Thunderhill provides some of the best racing around and is where many pro teams come to practice due to its diverse and challenging layout. And did we mention that the weather at the end of March should be perfect? This event will be a points race for the West Coast Series and the 911 Cup Trophy, along with standard points for the National Championship. And the event isn't just for racers. There will also be run groups for HPDE and time trials. Visit clubregistration.net for more details and to register.
Welcome back to the 48 Hours at Sebring. I'm Greg Ginsburg, along with Dick Kelson and Brian Donati. And we've got now just a touch under 25 minutes remaining in our first of 2 90-minute endurance races here. How we're going to wrap up today's event. And so after this sprint race, we're going to have one more for you. So definitely stay with us here today. But as I think we mentioned earlier, a lot of action still going on as part of the event after lunch here from a little bit after 1 o'clock all the way to 4 o'clock. Going to have our high performance driver education drivers take to the track for an open session. So if you want to come out and watch some beautiful race cars out on track, certainly come on out and do that. Entry is free, other than signing your life away with a waiver here at the front gate. But definitely come on out. If we take a look at where we stand here on track, Ed Dunn in his GTB1 Cayman is your overall leader, as he has been for the majority of this race. He's got now almost a 16-second advantage over Angus Rogers in the number 9 GTB1 Cayman. Kevin Sear running in third, about 5 seconds back from there. Walter Jessic running 4th overall. He leads the Spec 997 class, and he's got one competitor, a familial member there, and that is Weston Jessic. Weston now currently sitting 13th overall. Lou Friedman and probably not Lou Friedman. I'm combining names now. This is getting very bad. It's actually Charles Lou and Corey Friedman. Sorry. They are currently sitting 5th overall. They lead the GT3 class. Then we move down, and we've got Claudio Kempf. He is your GT4 leader. And Kempf is running 12th overall. Rob Trollinger, your 911 Cup leader, 14th overall. Your SP3 leader is Greg Rochik, and Rochik now 14th overall, with Kenagina sitting 2nd in the G class. In the SP3 class. He is running 16th overall. Your G class leader now is Doug Crossman. Doug is 17th overall, the number 92 machine. With Jordan Simon only about a second back from there, I believe.
And Greg, I believe those are the only 2 cars left in that class.
G. Yeah.
So, again, we've had a lot of attrition in there. Some of them didn't even make it out, but we've got a lot of attrition in there.
All right, and I think Trollinger in the 911 Cup car, his the 1987 Porsche 911, maybe on the pit lane now, as I'm seeing him fall down through the order.
Yeah, I think
sitting 19th overall.
I think he's goes a little bit further back. I think the 747 right there, still sitting on pit road. I would have thought that car would have taken off by now. It's been in there for quite some time. So we're going to have to see. That's Brad Weber. We'll have to see. I think that car came in, and then
All right.
yet to see it go back out. It's been a long 5 minutes. I will tell you that.
All right, we've got a car off, Brian. I believe the looks like the 11 or 111 over turn 16. Pardon me. Let me get the number on that right. 171. Let's try this. 771 and 141.
Okay, that's David Rubel in the 771 and
right.
Dennis Hiffman in the 141. So
yeah, that was coming out of Jean de Bien, out of the turn 15 S's there, going into 16. Sounds like they may have now continued, and it sounds as though the 141 may have some damage at the front of the car.
There they are. They just went by the start-finish line, coming down into turn 1 now. You're going to see a little bit of that damage on that right-hand side, that yellow car. That's the 141. We've got something a little sticking. We got a little shark fin sticking up top there, just inside there. Not very aerodynamically.
No.
It's aerodynamically challenged now.
Very inefficient.
So you can see a little bit of, looks like a little bit part of the grill sitting there. And Greg, we're right at that 20-minute mark left to go in this. So pretty much you've got about 10 minutes left. If you haven't made a pit stop yet, you've got to make it quickly.
You got a couple minutes to think about it, maybe a lap, 2 laps to make that decision and come in before you hit that 10-minute limiter.
Yeah, but I believe everybody has made their pit stops as of now. I think, like I said, the Brad Weber machine still sitting down on pit road. There's one other white one that's a little bit further back. Those 2 cars have been there for quite some time, so I'm not sure. Maybe Brad Weber's got a problem there, sitting there. I see the crew kind of starting to take things down. So evidently when they came in, something was
They're
there.
packing up shop.
Well, they're packing up underneath the tent, yeah. So,
Yeah.
I mean, it could be that car needs to be, pulled off of pit road rather than pushing it through with a hot pit right now.
Right.
So leave it there in the pit stall till the end of this Enduro, which is about 19 more minutes left to go. But looks like everybody has made their pit stops and should be good to go for the last 18 and a half minutes here. Again, we talked about Ed Dunn, Angus Rogers. That's a 16-second gap. Everybody pretty much spread out. So again, this is the beauty of this, and that is, strategy plays a lot, and again, a lot of communications to the drivers from their teams about when to pit. And as we saw earlier, sometimes you have to black flag a driver to get them to come in, because that's when they need to come to the team's attention.
Yeah, and Brian, now as we think that most of our drivers have completed their pit stops, we do still have a few cars left on the pit lane that are working through their 5-minute limits here in Spec Boxster, and we had 18 racers in Spec Boxster for the sprint races, Brian. A majority of them, 11 of them, started today in this endurance race. So great to see that field, but Bernard Nussbaumer with almost a 30-second advantage right now out over Alex Au. Dan Rubel, another 25 seconds back from there. So, between the pit stops and just having to be consistent over a race that is 3 times the length of the sprint races that we had yesterday, you're starting to see where drivers that maybe lose a little bit of time over a lap or 2 laps, it may not show itself as much in 30 minutes as it does in this case now, about 80 minutes or 70 minutes.
And Daniel Rubel having that incident just a lap or 2 ago was probably catching Alex.
He was.
So again, that's going to play into that factor as well. At this point, it becomes where try to stay ahead of John Burke there in that 89 machine, because he's got about a 7-second gap between Daniel Rubel and John Burke. It's a matter of right now we've got 16 and a half minutes left to go. let's take care of the equipment,
Right.
and let's make sure we get this car back home.
Yeah,
in
and you know,
one
and that's an interesting thing to mention there, Brian, because after Rubel had that incident over by 15 and 16, he's now running about 4 seconds off of what was his previous pace. And so, you know, obviously lap over lap, that's going to impact things quite a bit. I'm looking to see whether or not John Burke, who also had, we talked about John a little bit earlier today, towards the beginning of the race. He's still over 35 seconds back from Rubel, so I don't know in 16 minutes whether there are going to be enough laps for him to make up that difference. As a matter of fact, the last time by, Burke was actually still 2 seconds off of Rubel's times.
Again, as we, you know, as you just alluded to, as we get to that 15.5 minute mark, it's still about now you're in protection, and I say protection, but more of we got to take care of the equipment, right? Because in some of these they came down, cleaned the windshield, and that was all they did. They, you know, some of these, you know, especially in Sport Boxster, they're not putting fuel in the car. They don't need fuel. They can go that full hour and a half, right? So again, you're not really, you know, getting really anything in there other than you're cooling off the tires in there, and, you know, giving some air and that to the brakes. But other than that, you're not doing anything. So you're not refueling the car. You're not changing the balance of the car. Some of these cars where they had to refuel and they put those 2 cans in, that takes the balance right back to the very beginning. And then if you've got, you know, where you did a driver change, now that driver has to secure and take care of the equipment even more. You really got to think going through this race, because that balance is right back to where it was at the beginning, other than some of the brakes, you know, the brakes going down a little bit, the tire wear, everything else. You've really got to be, you know, kind of this all, you know, your focus is 100% more for a second driver than it is in the beginning.
Just got word from the field that over at turn 16 at the Le Mans curve, coming down to the back straight here, John Burke, who we were just talking about, might have been pushing the car a little harder, to thinking maybe he could catch up to and make ground on Daniel Rubel. Pushed the car a little bit too hard, ran wide on exit, and that last time by was about 6 seconds off of what has been a pretty consistent pace. So he falls a couple more seconds back from Dan Rubel. The gap now between Rubel and Burke extends to about a minute 10.
Yeah. Again, trying to push that car to the limits it can as we, you know, as we do wind down. You'll also see here, you know, kind of on the screen as we're doing it, you're going to see a lot of the different classes. You know, you're going to see a lot more passes than you would at the beginning, right? Because that strategy, now these cars are getting back out. Some of them have been out there for a lap or two ahead of the other ones. So now you run that risk, you know, of getting into another class where that may be a battle, and then next thing you know, you end up with, you know, again, some challenges trying to get through there, and that could slow you up even more. So right now, officially, the pit window is still open, right? So if there is somebody that hasn't made a pit, but again, looking at timing and scoring, I believe everybody who is going to make a pit stop has made their pit stop, right? So it's not I think everybody is done, other than the 2 that we have sitting there that have been there for quite some time, so they've got some challenges. They're not going back out for that.
All right, the 131 machine having a bit of a challenge there over at Collier and going into turn 10. So that was Weston Jessic in the second of the Jessic Spec 997 machines. He was running 13th at the time. We'll see if he can hold 13th overall at the time, second in class. We'll see if he can hold on to that. Of course, Walker Jessic, not Walter. Walker Jessic still up 4th overall, leading that class.
Pink Enduro, to the grid, please. Pink Enduro, to the grid.
You know, we talk about attrition, Greg. We've got 10 cars that actually took the green flag that are now out of this race.
Yes.
Right now. So that is quite a bit. Normally you see, you see maybe 3 or 4, but not 10. So again, taking care of this equipment. Long weekend, running the sprints, turning around, running the Enduro. Some of them, where they had another driver scheduled to get in that car may not have even gotten in that car.
Right.
Which happens a lot in endurance racing.
Yeah. We know some pro teams where that has been the case. Spend a lot of money for no track time.
Well, I'd say also, for most of these people, it's the first event of the year,
Correct.
the first time it's
Absolutely.
been out.
Yeah.
So that's got to be taken into consideration.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think a lot of this, and this is a very good bellwether, also as these cars, because as we've talked about it a lot, Sebring presents some very unique challenges from a mechanical standpoint for these race cars. I think starting off the season this way and knowing and finding things that perhaps break or get close to aging out so early in the season probably will help these drivers over the course of a long season, that they know where to focus their time between races and doing prep. And I think it certainly helps for racers and teams that perhaps in the past, if they've never raced Sebring before, don't spend a great deal of time on nut and bolting a car before they come to an event. This is I think the bellwether event that will point out where the shortcomings in their preparation program are. So a good way to start off the season from many regards, at least from a mechanical standpoint, as much as from a driver standpoint.
Finding out what you need to do better.
Exactly. Yep. And if you're out with a race car for the very first time here with a new chassis, a new build, this is the course that's going to point out where you need to focus your attention on maybe beefing up certain things.
As we are under that 10-minute mark now, Greg, so anybody who has not, which I clearly know by looking at our screens and looking at my data that we have up here, everybody has pitted, but the official pit window has officially closed.
Yeah.
So if you come in now, there's a penalty, or you have other challenges that you need to take care of the car. You're more than likely not going back in some cases.
And we've got a local caution at the hairpin, Brian. It's actually just past the apex at 7. Trying to get word now as they're checking on the driver and trying to get the number of that car. It is just past the turn-in point, and it does appear as though the driver is on the course, hasn't moved for a couple of moments, or at least the car hasn't moved.
He's moved.
I feel I need to be.
Get that thing started.
Yeah, I need to be more specific there.
That car, he has definitely been moving. Panicking to get that thing started, especially if he is on the course, because you still got cars coming around. Come get to him. So.
And car is still there. Well, I think we'll know in a few moments who that is. Brian is. And with that car there on the course, we are going to go to a full course caution. As Ed Dunn is our leader, just came through turn 1, and it looks like we just had somebody rejoin the course from the pit lane as well, coming out on course. But still trying to get word on the car number over there. But with just a touch over 7 minutes remaining, we are under full course caution.
Greg, I wouldn't be surprised by looking at some of this data if that is not the 148 there. Walter Jessic, he's starting to fall through the field. And again, on the data that we have that sits in front of us,
yes,
his car in that 997 class, his car went red, which means we have it as the car went missing from on the track.
Right.
So I wouldn't be surprised if that's who it is. Eventually, we'll get that call. And we'll
Yes, we're now showing Walker Jessic, who had been running 4th overall, now down in 13th position, showing as a full lap down from competitor in class, Weston Jessic, who was in the 12th and 13th position previously.
Yeah, he's just completed lap 32. Again, as I said, I would not be surprised right now if that call doesn't come out or we don't see that call come through, that is the 148 of Walter Jessic. You have the data that changes colors. It's quick to pick up. Get to this full course caution, and really the challenge thing here, Greg, is whether or not, how quickly is it going to take to move that car back and gather this field so that we can go back to green, because we've got about 5.5 minutes left to go in this enduro. So as quickly as we can get these cars in a safe manner back lined up.
All right, and we do have the emergency services teams over at turn 7 now. They've sent their wrecker over there to possibly pick that car up and move it as it's not moving. So let's quickly, Brian, recap and set the field here. We're going to start off with GTB1, where our overall leader is Ed Dunn in the number 98 Cayman. Angus Rogers running 2nd in the number 9 Cayman. Kevin Sear 3rd. Del Al Rey 4th. Luis Acevedo is running in 5th. And interesting here, if we do manage to go back to green flag racing, I think Kevin Sear is either 1 or 2 cars back from Angus Rogers on track right now. In 911 Cup, it's Rod Trollinger leading over Scott Gianu. At the time the full course caution came out, almost about 1 minute 20 seconds separating those 2 racers. In SP3, Greg Rochick in his number 320, 944, leading over Canagino. Dennis Hiffman 3rd, Gary Stanberry in 4th. Both Hiffman and Stanberry a lap down from our 2 leaders in class. In the G class, we talked about the attrition here. Doug Crossman and Jordan Simon, our only two racers left running. They were about 13 seconds apart at the time the full course caution came out. Colin Doherty running 3rd, but 10 laps down at the moment. Richard Bennett, our sole racer in SP1, he's surely making his way around the track. A couple laps down, but he's had some pace issues, I think, most of the weekend. But the car continues to run, so good to see that 944 still making its way around. Terrence Judge, your sole racer to take the green in the H class, is Ryan McGrath, who was the pole sitter for the class, pulled the car down the pit lane before the green flag ever flew. In GT3, the team of Charles Liu and Corey Friedman leads over Rafael Serralta, and they've got about a 4-lap advantage over the 190 car. In ME1, Gene Raimondi, we haven't mentioned Gene. Gene's our sole ME1 class racer. Let's see where he is over. Currently running 32nd overall.
I checked with my binoculars. There's a car against this turned backwards at the hairpin, but it's out of the way. So we are going to finish under yellow.
Yeah, and it looks like they've just now pulled that car out in a way. They're actually pulling it down the access road towards the 7 Hotel. And it appears now is that turn 7 is clear. Still, of course, at full course caution, but no longer the waving yellow there. And actually, Dick, just got word from race control. Safety car is going to come in this next time by. We're going to see the lights go out, and we're going to get at least 1 lap here under green to take us to the checkered flag. So great news there.
Congratulations to the Sebring crew.
Yeah, they are so quick around here to get these incidents cleared. And so now if we take a look, there's the safety car, the beautiful champion Porsche supplied safety car, and the lights are out. We've got a bunch of stragglers now.
Still trying to, I was going to say, we've got a bunch of cars still trying to get caught back up.
Yeah.
And what's going to end up happening is as it does happen here, all of those double yellows will go down once that green flag.
They're going to start racing. They're going to get a lap or half a lap more of racing than everybody else.
Yeah.
As we've got 3 racers now coming up towards Collier, coming out of turn 8 and 9 at the moment, and they're almost at race pace now. Again, trying to catch the pack ahead here. Claudio Kempf leading in GT4 in his 1970 Porsche 911. And that car is currently 4 laps up on the minor and arse entry, the 99 Porsche Boxer, the 198 car. And then we've just now talked about Spec 997, where Walker Jessic was the driver in the disabled machine over by turn 7 that may have precipitated the full course caution. As the safety car is now on the pit lane, turning things back over to Ed Dunn. And the starter looks over the field, and green flag is in the air. Just 1 lap remains here for this race. And here is the chance. If you were close on track to somebody else in your class, you know, we had in GTB1, for example, we had we had Mitch Bowling right behind Luis Acevedo's machine in the battle for 5th in class. We'll see if that makes a difference at the end as we go through some of our other classes here. Jordan Simon had Kenagina right ahead of him. Simon trying to catch up to Doug Crossman, who was the next car in line for the lead in the G class.
We've got 1 car going off there, coming out of turn
2
5.
cars
a couple
off.
Cars going off there, trying to, as they stacked all up right there in front of Kenagina. One of the cars that I noticed on the very start was Richard Bennett in that 16. He moved over driver's left because he was stuck in between, some of those, that Ed Dunn and Angus Rogers there.
Yeah, and he's actually been we said that the 16 car, that 944, has been a little bit off the pace.
Sure.
We've seen him stay driver's left on the front straight here, opening up the front straight to the faster cars all race long. Very good, showing very good awareness. But I think what we're also seeing here, Brian, is that under this extended full course caution, a lot of these drivers trusting to have some heat in the tires.
And I think that car
just
there,
not
the one
there.
that just went off, that's the one that also went off to front. They may have some braking problems. We'll try to get a number right there, and I can't really see it. I don't know if that is the 079 there of Lou and Friedman. It very well may be, but they definitely have a problem because they did not get through turn 5, and they definitely did not get through that last turn. Very clearly.
And our corner workers are under radio silence for the last lap, so not getting any information on that right now. But I said that the tires may not be up to temp, but also the brake rotors and the pads may have cooled down considerably under that period of slower full course caution time. As Ed Dunn, driver of the number 98 GTB1 Porsche Cayman, comes into the sunset turn for the very last time. He's got Angus Rogers, he's got Kevin Sear directly behind, the closest they've been for a good portion of this race, and taking the overall win here in our first of 2 endurance races today is Ed Dunn. Angus Rogers will finish 2nd, and look at this. I don't think it was the Lou and Friedman car, Brian, because the 079 got around Kevin Sear. I think it might have been Kevin Sear in the 194 machine,
maybe,
because I'm starting to see Sear drop through the order. Sear, who had been running 3rd overall, is now dropping precipitously through the order. And so the Lou and Friedman machine takes the win in GT3, finishing 3rd overall. Del Rey is going to take the bronze, finish 3rd in GTB1, finishing 4th overall. If we move down a little bit, Claudio Kempf finishes 11th overall. He's going to take the win in GT4. Weston Chesick will win Spec 997, finishing 12th overall. Winning the G class, it will be Doug Crossman. and he finishes 15th overall, taking taking second in SP3 is going, or probably taking. Let me try this again. Taking the win in SP3, Greg Rochick 14th overall, with Kenagina finishing second, finishing 16th. If we go down, Rob Trollinger takes the win in 911 Cup over Scott Giano. Trollinger finished 19th overall. Giano finished 22nd overall. In Spec Boxster, taking the win is Bernard Nussbaumer. He finishes 12th overall, and I guess the appropriately numbered 001. Who finished second with Dan Rubel finishing second, Alex Au finishing second in Spec Boxster, finishing about 4 seconds back, 21st overall. And as we go down the list, trying to pick up Gene Raimondi again, our sole racer in ME1. And I think that wraps it up for our class winners out on track. Yeah. So next up, everybody, the racing is not done. We have one more 90-minute endurance race. It is scheduled to start in about 5 minutes. So let's make a final call to the grid for them.
Pink Enduro, last call to the grid. Pink Enduro to the grid.
All right, what we're going to do, we're going to take a quick break. Thanks to our partners and sponsors. When we come back, 90 minutes of racing here at the 48 hours of at Sebring. I got it, Dick. I caught myself. The 48 hours of Sebring presented by Champion Porsche, the Gold Coast region and the Suncoast regions of the Porsche Club of America. We'll be right back.
Champion Porsche is the proud presenting sponsor of the PCA 48 Hours of Sebring. Since our founding in 1988, our passion for luxury and performance has turned our Poplar Beach home into the largest and top-ranked premier Porsche center in America. Today, Champion Porsche buys, sells, and services Porsche vehicles of all types and serves as a central hub for all things Porsche and Porsche Motorsport. Whether you're located in South Florida or around the world, visit us online at champion-porsche.com or check out our motorsports offerings at championmotorsport.com.
Suncoast Porsche is the greater Tampa Bay area's home of legalized adrenaline. Our Sarasota dealership is not just a place to find your next Porsche. With our commitment to exceptional customer service and car shopping made easy, our Suncoast Porsche Parts and Accessories brand offers a selection of the latest and greatest parts available for your modern or classic Porsche. Whether you're looking to personalize, upgrade, or repair your car, we offer both original Porsche parts and aftermarket options at great pricing. Visit us today at suncoastporsche.com to learn more.
Featherlight Coaches blends yacht-quality materials and components with leading-edge technology to help craft the ultimate motor coach. Our experience and knowledge gained from hundreds of builds is evident in the beauty and luxury of every motor coach, delivering quality luxury for the open road. Our build's stunning looks are just the tip of the iceberg for the signature Featherlight yacht-quality fit and finish. Visit us at featherlightcoaches.com to shop and learn more.
Race Parts Express offers a wide variety of performance and safety parts for your race cars. In addition to our extensive catalog, we are also a recommended servicer for FEV fire suppression systems in both customer and factory Porsche racing vehicles. To learn more and shop, visit our website at RP Express, that's RP, the letter X, press.com, or call us at 828-428-0820 today. Stable Energies takes pride in offering racers the very best in motorsport performance and safety equipment since 1978. Owner Bob Kikasik has been a PCA member for over 35 years and started club racing with PCA during its very first season. Located in northern New Jersey, Stable Energy stocks a wide variety of racing gear and motorsport products from top quality brands like O&P, Alpine Stars, Bell, Hans, Schroth, Paget, and Bray Kraus. Stable Energies is a master distributor for Recaro and the U.S. importer for safety devices roll cages, as well as the Eastern U.S. distributor for RSS Porsche performance parts. You can shop with Stable Energies on their website, stableenergies.com. You can call and speak to a knowledgeable salesperson. They're happy to answer any of your questions. Or you can have one-on-one personal attention at their retail location just 10 minutes from New York City. PCA members receive special deals, so be sure to mention PCA Club Racing. Whether your fire system needs to be serviced, you need advice about a new race seater radio system, or you want to try on the coolest looking new driver suits, Stable Energies has you covered.
End of the day.
End of the day.
The end of the day, the sun did pop
Yeah.
out. That's right. Because I was in 7.
We had a day we had Yak Y Academy here.
Let me
well,
just
they have
before this race.
2,000
Let me just
cars.
grab my my hat and my cup. How's that thought?
That it was. I tell you, it was so miserable. This would have been 2 weeks ago, Wednesday and Thursday.
You have that cool map?
I teach
bird photography.
Oh, really?
And so I had a client come fly into town. And it was like, the lows were like the upper 30s, the highs were the upper 40s, and it was windy and rainy.
Oh.
We went out every day.
Where do you live?
Breckeen.
Oh, okay. All right.
So I moved down here about 7 years ago from up in Northern Virginia. After I retired, I moved down here.
Okay. Well, good.
Because all I needed was an airport close by and I could do what I do.
Yeah.
And so I've got SRQ, and Tampa's only 40 minutes away.
Yeah.
All right, let's try this again.
Well, we got one more enduro race.
Yep, and then
That
Group 4
launch-
advanced solo.
Yeah, for
like
4 hours.
That's
Come
crazy.
on, let's just
How many
go.
times do we take the same picture of the same
No,
car?
let's go home.
But yeah.
I was doing some pictures for these guys and one, and I was working for the club, and so I was having to take a picture of every car because we were doing individualized trophies. So one guy comes to me and he goes, "These aren't the wheels I had on my car today." You know what I said to him? Give me the picture back.
Yeah, that's right.
If you think I stood out here, took your picture today, and got it mounted in this plaque all at once, I was sitting there printing them all out, trying to put their name on each picture and all that stuff. And
That's a lot of work. Some of these guys don't think that.
it's not that it's hard; it's just time consuming.
Well, no, exactly. And so some of them will say, "Hey, do you print at the track?" And for me, I'm a one-man operation. Not this weekend. I'm shooting for Linden. But when I'm here by myself, it's like, do you want me to get a couple more photos of you on track, or do you want me to sit there and print pictures? So I'm like, no, sorry, I don't have your photos.
Yeah. So I just tell folks, I do everything over the internet. I get my proofs out that way. I say, you pick me what you want, and based on what you pick, I'll send you a proposal.
Yeah, and it's like, watermark the shit out of it. I have an all-inclusive watermark. My website is magnifiedphotography.com, and I have the green and the checkered flag, and it covers the whole picture. In the middle, do not copy. And I got my name and the date and everything, do not copy. And then when there's stupid asses that were friends on Facebook, they copy it and still post it. I'm like,
Let me get back.
No.
Thanks for coming, you guys. Always a good. Always enjoy seeing
Can
you
you shine
both.
this old shoulder? Can you sign it?
And let us know about your bathroom experience today.
I'm trying to remember. I know I told you last time. I forgot.
There was blood all over this.
Oh yeah. Oh my God. I thought of that one. Yeah, it wasn't mine. It wasn't mine. Yeah. That was. It was like. Well, I hope that guy's still okay. I was here a couple of weeks ago. Well, this is my 4th out of 5 weeks, and I went to go to the bathroom, and I had to go so bad that as I was going into the stall, I realized there was a lady in the room next door, but I didn't have time to even go to the next one, nevertheless go to the next door. So she's like, well, I hope this guy's okay. And we just blood all over the seat. Oh, man.
Wow.
Must have been like hemorrhoids or something. But
That's when you start your ass home.
yeah.
Literally.
I was back oh, that sucks.
Tell you what, here's a quick one. I was up at Summit Point in West Virginia.
Yeah.
And so it's a nice place. It's not very good fan friendly.
Yeah.
Because it's up in the mountains. But I go to the water, John. It says, to me, it's better than girl, and they're giving some guy's head.
Here, can I get mine?
I'm like, oh, I didn't realize it was occupied. Oh Man, it's a wild place. There's no walls up there.
It's like how much room do you guys have? You know.
Oh, it's one of those handicap jobs.
Oh,
That
yeah.
you roll a
it was
wheelchair
job.
into.
Oh my god. Wow.
And I'm like, okay. And my girlfriend was with me. She goes, that was pretty quick. I said, let's just go.
Yeah.
Let's just go. I'm embarrassed. That was such embarrassing these people anymore. Although I think she was a pro. Good. I mean, so how far do you travel?
Pretty much.
I shoot a lot for PCA, from Road America to NOLA to Homestead to Line Rock. I don't do it so much anymore, but I used to do. I was good for 25 races in PCA, NASA, and IMSA. You sure you don't want to get it here?
No, this is, yeah, thanks anytime.
Here they come.
Welcome back, everybody, to Sebring International Raceway. It is the 48 hours at Sebring, so they tell me. I'm Greg Ginsberg, along with Brian Donati and Dick Kelson, and it is now our final race of the day. And give me one moment here as I try to arrange my stuff.
Be arranging the screen so that we get to see everything out here.
Exactly. I'm working on it, Brian. Here we go. Let's try and bring that down. And we have our second endurance race of the day. And as our drivers are heading out for their pace laps, let me go and give you the starting order. And by the way, I'm going to give you the top 30. We had 39 cars put in qualifying times. I'm going to give you the top 30 because I'm behind the curve. Starting 30th, driving the number 76 GTC 4 blue 911 Cup car, it's Nick Karanglin. Dwayne Moses starting 29th. He's also in GTC 4, driving the 641 machine. Jonathan Draper in GTC 6 today, the blue and yellow Cup car entry. The number 62 car starts 28th. Starting 27th, driving the number 85 machine, we've got Brett and Griff Asplund. They start, like I said, 27th. They're driving in GTD3 today in their GT4 RS Club Sport. Keith Clark starting 26th. Keith is in the number 74 GTC 6 Cup car with David Ducote starting 25th. He's driving the number 80 GTC 6 Cup car. That's a red machine. Then we've got Francisco de Jesus and Mr. Yardley starting 24th today. They're in the number 121 GT3 Cup car with Lou Yorio starting 23rd. driving the number 3 GTC7 Cup car. In a GT4S Club Sport Racing in GTD3 is Chris Dooley. He starts 22nd in the 751 machine. And then we've got the pairing of Stafford and Friedman starting 21st today. They're driving the 999 Blue and Orange Cup car in GTC8. Also in GTC8, we've got the pairing of Ford and Ellsworth in the white, black, and gray 112 machine starting 19th. We've got Ariel German. Ariel is driving the GTC7 990, pardon me, the GTC7 GT3 Cup car. That's the 475 machine. Charlie Craig starting 18th, driving the number 114 GTC7 Cup car, with Keith Jessick starting 17th in the appropriately numbered 911 GT7 Cup car. Mark Calzaretta also racing in GTD3 in a GT4S Club Sport. The 117 machine starts 16th, starting 15th, driving the number 19 GTD3 Cayman GT4S Club Sport, Roland Krantz. Scott Diger is starting 14th today. He's driving the number 239 GTC8 Cup car, with Jeffrey Isringhausen starting 13th in the 199 GTD3 GT4S Club Sport. Ben Wallace starting 12th. Ben is driving in GTC7 today. The white 991.2 machine is wearing the 179 on the side. Then we've got McKay and Dumont with driving the 234 machine. That car is starting 11th. That is a GTA 4 car. Then we've got Sunil Nandigam starting 10th. Sunil is driving the number 03 GTC 5 Cup car, with Russ Farang starting 9th. Russ is in the 412 GTC 8 Cup car. We've got Parker and Roush starting 8th, the number 960 GTA 2 Cup car, with John Getz to their left in the number 57 purple GTC 8 machine. That is starting 7th. Joseph Viola starts 6th today in the number 262 GTC 8 Cup car, the yellow and blue machine, with the pairing of Dean and Davis starting 5th, driving the number 711 GTA 4 Cup car. Then we've got Johnson and Trinka starting 4th, and 207 machine starting 4th. That's in GTA 4. Thomas Gruber on the inside of row 2 in the number 991 GTA 3 machine. And your front row, Tony Karlinskis in the GTA 3 313 Cup car. Rene Robichaux in the green and black number 91. And as they've done already twice this weekend, Brian, for the third time, they go down into turn 1 side by side and jumping out to an early lead, as he's done now 3 times in a row. Tony Karlinskis in that, probably Rene Robichaux in the green and black number 91.
Karlinskis was able to get out to an early lead there, as we saw him earlier. So again, Rene's going to have to, as we saw yesterday, trying to chase him down.
That's right. There we go. The green and yellow
right
machine.
There, just a little bit further back. We'll see as they come down into turn 7, down in the hairpin. Again, Karlinskis, again, that car getting out to an early lead in every single sprint race we've seen yesterday, and then today getting out to that early lead. Again, this is going to be about taking care of the equipment. These cars are a little bit faster, Greg. These cars are a little bit, bigger, I should say. But what's going to end up happening is we're going to see these guys really, really have to take care of the equipment here. Not only these tires, but these brakes.
Yeah, indeed. And whereas, we talked in the last group, Brian, about some of the older chassis maybe not needing to take fuel and being able to get through the whole race, but still having to take their 5-minute pit stop, of course.
Right.
I have a feeling that the majority of the cars in this group probably going to need. Now, we did see here, it is not Rene Robichaux in his green-black machine up towards the front. That is Thomas Gruber in the black GTA 3 991 Cup car, who is running second. So early on here as our racers come through Jean de Bian over turn 15 and then through the final corner.
I think Rene is in the 84
in the 84
machine,
this
and
time?
that was all the way in the back. So I think that either A, maybe have been late to the grid, or B, decided to start back there in order to move through the field. So we'll have to see.
Yeah, indeed. I mean, we had Nicole Robichaux, who was originally scheduled to start back in 37th position. It looks as though we had a number of racers, Brian, that we might have expected to come out that did not take the green flag. I'm showing 27 starters overall as opposed to the expected 39.
And we'll let them get all sorted out through here as we go. But I tell you what, Greg, this is going to be another battle here towards the end. We've seen that all the way through, and especially with Gruber, Karlinskis, and now throw in Joel Johnson in that 207. We've seen that car before as well. Again, same rules apply here as we talked about earlier on when we had our black group out there. You've got to make a 5-minute pit stop. We do know now that if you do have to put fuel in the car, which I do anticipate pretty much all of these cars probably having to put fuel in this, the driver needs to get out, then they can get back in. The pit window will be open after the first 15 minutes, and you cannot pit within the last 10 minutes of the window of this race. So again, this is another Enduro that you've really got to take care of your equipment here if you want to make this thing last that hour and 30 minutes there. Dick, you got an announcement you want to make?
Change of advanced solo. You'll be going out not at 115, but at 150. Advanced solo. You will go out at 150.
And we probably should announce that a couple of times through the afternoon as we get a little bit closer, in case some of them have gone out for lunch or something along those lines here. But still, a lot of track time for our HPDE drivers here this weekend. All right, so now as we have 2 laps in the book, still a little bit early here, but Thomas Gruber starting to make up some ground on Tony Karlinskis. That last time by was about 0.3 faster as they cross the line. As a matter of fact, we can see him now coming into turn 3, about 3/4 of a second separating them. But I think they're starting to close things up. Right behind them is the battle for the lead in GTA 4 with Joel Johnson and the team of Dean and Davis. We'll try and figure out who is behind the wheel of that car. Unfortunately, our timing and scoring system, we're not that advanced, Brian, that we can't tell you behind's the wheel. Sorry, Brendan.
I think that is Dean probably in the car. I think they do list the first driver in the car first.
Okay.
And then the second one, especially from a race monitor perspective. So.
Okay, and then we had also in that trio, John Getz in the number 57, the purple GTC 8 machine there. And he's opened up about a couple car lengths now over Joseph Viola in the yellow and blue 262 GTC 8 machine.
And again, Viola in that 262 had some problems earlier on this weekend, able to get that back yesterday, be able to complete that second, the first and second sprint race, had some problems on Friday night. So again, must have been something very, very minimal because that car completed all of the 30-minute sprint races yesterday and now hoping to go this hour and a half. Pretty good battle there coming through turn 16. That is the Viola is the second car, so that's got to be the 57 of Getz, the 711 of Dean, and the 207 there of Joel Johnston.
Very, very nice fight here early on. Again, primarily we've got Johnson and Davis, Johnson and Dean, the front two cars in that group in GTA 4. Getz and Viola in GTC 8. So 2 battles in class as our overall leaders now come through turn number 1 very early on in this 90-minute endurance fight. And of course, I want to thank everybody here for joining us. Some questions about the H class. And no racers in H on the track here currently. Silver, so apologize for that, but
they were in the first group that went out.
Exactly, they were in the very first race. We had Ryan McGrath and Terrence Judge in the first race today. Ryan McGrath not taking to the green. Terrence Judge, our sole racer that took part in H.
Yeah, unfortunate from Ryan McGrath because, again, went out and basically was at the front of the race all day yesterday in both of those sprint races, and then getting ready to come down. We believe that may have been him that pulled down the pit road right after the opening, the pace lap. So did not take the green. I know he has a long haul back, so he may have actually left. either early on or last night. Out of McLean, Virginia area. So those of you who know that trip, 95 could take 4 days just to get up 95 once you hit outside of Florida through Georgia and into South Carolina.
We just about always have some people who had signed up for the Enduro, but make the decision either last night or this morning that they needed to get back to home.
Well, knowing that trip very, very well, it's probably a good idea that, because again, those of you who tow anything through South Carolina, you think it's bumpy here? This is smooth compared to South Carolina on 95. Yeah, another good battle going on right through here, coming through turn 16, headed down through the long almond straight, getting ready to come down into 17. But again, this is a product of different cars in the in the different classes coming through here, and this is what you're going to see. Coming out of 17, you see, and again, we talk about it as characteristics of this racetrack, and the three of us have kind of talked about this up here pretty much all weekend, where we have heard over the years since I've been coming here, and Greg's been coming here, and Dick, you as well, people saying, why don't we just repave this racetrack or redo the concrete? Well, then you take it, honestly, you take all the fun out of the racetrack, right? You take the characteristics out, you take the handling pretty much out of the race car at that point, because listen, when you get to a nice smooth track, times are going to drop down, you're going to go faster, and they're going to build new characteristics, but this is history. Right?
Yes, that's what I was going to point out. This was an air base in World War II for training of our pilots, and they want to keep some of that history.
Yeah, certainly. Hendricks Army Airfield, B-24, and of course B-17 Flying Fortress pilots all train here, hence the Flying Fortress straight leading out of turn 13. And certainly a lot of, and it's not just wanting to keep the history, but I think a lot of the charm of this facility, as we've talked over and over and over again over the course of the weekend, and what separates it out and makes it, for what is a very flat course with no camber in any of the corners, what makes it so challenging is the surface. And if they were just simply to lay down a grippy asphalt all the way around here, I think a lot of that charm would be erased.
Well, and the challenges of places like turn 1, where you go from 4 abreast to holy moly.
Barely getting one through there. Yes.
What did we say yesterday? 2.5 or 1.5? 2.5 abreast. And they try to make it 3.
Well, 1 for sure, 2 okay, 3 somebody's off the grass over there if that's the case, right? I mean,
exactly.
That's just not.
And one of the neat things, and I love this, is you watch the entry coming down into turn 3, you can see how all of these different blocks of concrete are placed together, and the weird angles that they are at, and the junctions, and how in some cases, yes, they've laid down epoxy and they've laid down material to fill some of the gaps between those different blocks, but it's not like you're just running into a seam that's vertical to where the car is. It takes a lot of time to pick up the muscle memory and the track memories to all the vagaries of this track. As it sounds like we just had one driver have a little bit of a problem over by turn 16, and I think that may have been the 117 of Calzaretta. We'll track that in just a few moments here.
Yeah, Calzaretta's sitting there in that GTD3. A lot of D's, a lot of G's, a lot of T's. And he was in second place of that group right now, just under 2 seconds behind Roland Krantz in that 19 machine. So if that is, again, if you have a little bit of a blip or a blurb, that's what we're going to call it here, not a complete disaster, you can go ahead and make that back up at some point, because again, your other competitors as well as you have a 5-minute pit stop. That may require you to go 1, maybe 2 more laps. As we're clicking off. 2-minute laps here, right? So 2:03. So think about that. You're probably going to have to do an additional 2 laps in order to get to make up that time frame. And again, depending on how much time you can make up within that, you may end up after your 5-minute pit stop. You could come right back out behind them within that. Within that 1.1 seconds or 1.2 seconds, and then hope to make it up at the end.
Jordan, if we could jump over to, I think probably turn 3 now. Watching the obviously not turn 3. Let's try here. That's better. As we're watching still that the drivers in the top 4 there. It's Dean Davis, John Getz, Joel Johnson, and now Viola, who's dropped to the back of that group in the yellow and blue machine.
Well, not so quickly. He just made a nice, huge dive underneath to the right side of Joel Johnson in that 207. Yeah, we'll see what happens when they come out of here. But I tell you what, he definitely got hard on the brakes getting in ahead of Johnson. But I think Johnson had the preferred line. Here you go. You can see it right there. So Johnson able to hold on, but Viola did make that driver's right move.
Well, and we'll want to watch this. If you remember, Viola made, I think, 2 different passes going into Jean Debian, going into 15 yesterday, where he came down driver's right and just stood on, was last of the late breakers, stood on the brakes, and was able to make up positions going into those S's there very late. So we'll see. Obviously, this time he's a little bit too far back to get that done. But when this lap started, these 4 racers were literally inches apart, nose to tail. It was great racing.
They've kind of been battling really the whole time here, right?
Yeah.
And you're right. I mean, I think, some of these guys are getting on the brakes a little bit later than some of the others are backing up. And again, that's a product of making sure you take care of the equipment the entire 90 minutes. I know I've said that repeatedly, but it can't be stressed enough. Not only through us up here, but also the teams are reminding these drivers, because as we well know, the minute you put a helmet on and you get in a car, it's whether it's an hour and a half race or not, it is, you're right, Dick, it's a narrow window that you only see. And you have to have somebody on the radio reminding them, we need to make sure we finish this.
To get to the end.
Championship points, right.
All right, another race hopefully we'll be able to pick up, and I'm going to try and get them as they come across the line here, Director Jordan, is Roland Krantz in the white, gold, and black GT4S Club Sport Krantz, as we've got a couple of cars now having an issue over at the Sunset Bend. It looks like maybe 3 different cars involved. We've got the 2 that are here, one that's left the position. We'll try and get numbers for you here in just a moment.
I know it looked like that was a product, and I was actually taking a sip of water the minute that happened. As Greg's going to get some of the numbers, it was a product of 3 drivers trying to go all for the same real estate in that turn. It looks like all of them are going to be able to continue. See if they come straight down the pit lane. One was able to continue right off the bat. Didn't even make that start. Here they come. Here's the other two that were involved in. And again, we'll try to get the numbers once Greg gets them.
All right. The first car, I believe, Brian, was the 475 of Ariel German, and I believe that's the car that had continued or had left the scene early. And the 475, I believe, is now actually on the pit lane.
Yeah.
And that was the GT3 Cup car of Ariel German. We'll get the other numbers here in just a moment. As the race that I was trying to get us to at the time, and maybe it doesn't matter as much before, it was Roland Krantz and Mark Calceretta. Krantz was leading at the time by about a half second, and as that happened, Brian, Mark Calceretta has now taken the lead in GTD3 over Roland Krantz. They're still in pretty close proximity, so we'll take a look. 2 GT4S Club Sports, Calceretta blue, Krantz white, gold, and black, the 117 and the 19 machine.
I think they were right. They were a product of that incident there, Greg.
Yeah.
I think they were right
As it was coming, right as it was happening, exactly.
Yes, no, absolutely.
All right, and we're getting, I think we're showing now, and maybe one of the cars involved, Brian, as we're looking at the pit lane. We do have a car on the pit lane that might be the 239 of Scott Diger in the GTC 8 class.
There's the 475 coming off now. Going down, we'll see whether or not that driver makes it right. I think you mean Diger could be in the very back.
Yeah.
And there goes the 475 making the right-hand turn
doing a retire
off of the racetrack. So that's Ariel German. So that driver has retired. But I think you're right. I think the Scott Diger machine may be that gray car that is all the way in the very back of the pit road.
And we've got Bob in the chat saying that our leaderboard is left over from the last race. Actually, I'll tell you, Bob.
It is.
It is kind of, sort of, because our timing and scoring folks have combined the timing from the two endurance races. So yeah, we're actually showing both classes. We've got still local caution over at 17, and the 581 machine now going around over at 17, and looks like that car may be heading to the pits.
Wondering if there is something over there, because I'm looking at some of these cars when we go to that shot. Very, very loose getting through there. More than normal, right? It is not an easy turn to navigate, but I believe there may be potentially from that incident, maybe something over there, because again, I've seen guys really tiptoe. Here comes that Joel Johnson machine along with John Getz and Dean in that 711, and Viola just behind that. So again, tiptoeing through turn 17. So it may be that we'll have to see, but again, an hour and 10 minutes left to go through here in this race. I would not anticipate anybody coming down until at least 40 minutes left to go here, Dick, in this race. Just as we saw in the last one, I think these guys, again, during that 5 minutes, these cars are going to have to really take on fuel.
Yes, they certainly will. And I was going to mention going into 17 is one of the really adventuresome parts of this track, because there are different lines out of it, and you're coming down at the end of a very long straight.
Sure.
Hauling butt.
Yeah.
So you got your braking, you got your finding the turn-in point, and with cars around you, it can really get exciting.
Yeah, and now throw in the aspect of maybe there is something out there, right? Maybe there's something that just can't be really picked up, through the eye or through a corner worker there, that maybe just very little, and next thing you know, you end up with, with a potential of, going through that turn a little bit more cautiously than you normally would, knowing those bumps there. So you really have to take through that. It looks like we've got a couple cars, and I think I mentioned one of them already. 475 Ariel German taking that car back behind the wall. I believe Scott Diger in that 239 and that silver machine. That's the one that we saw down at the end of pit road. I think that may have been one of those cars that were in that incident.
And then we got Mark Cook in the 581.
Yeah.
Which is, the 581, isn't that the one we just talked about that had just spun over at 17 just a few moments ago?
Yeah, may have definitely come back down pit road. So
right. And so Mark in GTD2, and we're showing him now 2 laps back from both Rami Farid and Bahir Yani, running first and second in GTD2. And again, folks, we're trying to work through the timing and scoring. It's I don't want to go into all the specifics, but it's based on the feed that we're receiving from our timing and scoring crew that it still includes some information from the last sprint race, and hopefully we'll be able to get that cleaned up.
Well, and also most everyone here is a volunteer from the Porsche Club.
That's right.
We are here because we love it. We're not here for any pay.
That's right.
They is lousy in my town.
Dick, don't worry. It's lousy for us, too. We could definitely understand. But yeah, I'm just hoping because we've had some folks in the chat that are asking about the layout there. So we're trying to work through that, and hopefully we can get that resolved.
And we know it looks professional.
That's
but
right.
It's not being.
It just, I mean, they're hearing me, so it doesn't sound professional. So, you know, you get one, you lose another. All right, let's take a look here now as we've got another car coming down the pit lane.
Looks like they're
going up on Jackson.
Maybe
some tires.
Well, yeah, I was going to say they may be. That's the 121 there. That is actually going to be. Who is that?
That is the De Jesus Yardley car.
Yeah. So we'll see. De Jesus looks like it getting out. It looks like they're going to throw on maybe a set of tires there, Greg, or maybe some right there, or they're going to lift it up. They're going to put some fuel in. Again, the driver has to get out of the car during the fuel, and we'll see if the Yardley driver gets back in.
Right.
Looks like they are going to either check the tires, check them, but they're not. Doesn't look like they're changing them. They're also changing the insert for the driver. So it looks like we are going to have a driver change there.
Right.
You'll see this normally where the driver will carry their own insert into the seat. But again, with a 5-minute pit stop, there goes another car off pit road. That may be the Diger machine because that thing's been there for quite some time. From earlier on.
They are changing
tires. So again, our first in the Enduros where we're seeing tire changes happening through this class and through this race. So again, another aspect here, Dick, of these cars, and they're putting sticker tires on, especially on the front. I just noticed that with the sticker. We talked about most of these drivers here as well. They can afford to throw those sticker tires on. So looks like they're going to do 4 tires and some fuel, and then once they do that, then they'll put that driver back in.
Here I was squinting, looking at the small screen when it was a big screen.
Jordan is actually showing the larger screen right there. They're going to lift the hood up there, and then it looks like they're going to put in, they're going to put the fuel in, and then all of a sudden they'll put the driver Yardley in there after that is done. So again, you've got 5 minutes to make this stop. It's plenty enough time. These teams have timed this out till they've gotten to the point where, hey, we could do it in 4 minutes and 55 seconds. That gives us an extra 5 seconds by the time we get to the timing loop down there. That's our 5 minutes. So these teams have practiced this a bunch. If we can, real quick, Jordan, if we can go down into turn 1 real quick, our overall leader, Tony Karlinskis and Thomas Gruber, there they are right there. They are actually nose to tail right there. I believe they just put a lap on the 29 machine. Let's see, I don't even see a 29 in here anymore. I know there was one here, but our overall leader is there. Now, Gruber has really run down Karlinskis. So, again, we talked about this early on. TK, as he's better known as his nickname, goes out and not to be confused with Tony Kanaan. Yeah, right, Greg. TK goes out and gets an early lead, and now Gruber's just setting his pace, and now Thomas Gruber starting to run down our overall leader here. And again, that is the battle in GTA 3. So early on here with just about an hour and 4 minutes, so coming up right on that hour mark, Thomas Gruber starting to set a little bit faster pace than Tony Karlinskis in that 313 991 Cup car. Coming down through turn 10, come down to turn 12, and I tell you what, it looks like Karlinskis is just getting a little bit more, drive off coming out of 12, and that's helping him stay in front of Gruber. Gruber looks like he gets into the corner just a little bit better in that Porsche than Karlinskis getting in, but the drive off is really where I'm starting to notice these cars, especially coming right there to turn 14 and 15. Looks like we got one car. That looks like that may be the Viola machine there that may be, or that may be the 29. And we'll have to see if we can get that number when it starts to come by. But right now he is kind of not in the middle of the racetrack, but off to the left. You can see where that is, so we'll have to see. Greg?
Once again, the advanced solo group, you are going out at 150. 150 for the advanced solo group. Thank you.
Looks like that may have been the Joseph Viola spin over there.
Yes.
So again, Viola dropping back. He was in that battle with Dean Getz Johnson as well. So again, getting that car ready to go. I would assume that after seeing that, you may see that 262 machine coming down through pit road. And as I say that, I think he just went by the start-finish line now.
Yeah.
So he's going to go off down into turn 1. But you see a nice move there. That was for the overall lead going down into the hairpin down in turn 7 with Gruber. And now as they come out of there, again, this is what I'm talking about. Karlinskis gets that drive off of turn 7. It's about less than a car length coming up through there through 8 and 9. Here they come right now. Gruber takes that car way off to the right and then has to get back in line behind Karlinskis.
Well, and I think a lot of that is he's trying to look to see if he can come under. And Gruber once again making the pass, coming through turn 10. And we'll take a look now as they come into 13 and head onto the Flying Fortress straight. It is still Gruber. So very tight, close racing there. And Brian, you could see where Gruber was, I think, trying to get into the mirrors of Karlinskis. Tried to upset him a little bit coming into 9. And here he opens up just a bit of a gap. We'll see if Karlinskis is close enough coming in the Jean de Bien. Not quite close enough there as they come onto the Flying Fortress straight.
Well, I'd be interested to see if TK ends up coming down pit road right here. I think it's still a little too early to come down there, so maybe he's taking care of those tires and the equipment. But we'll see when he comes into pit road, Greg. Does the team change tires?
Right.
That's going to be interesting. Again, with only 2 crew members over the wall at a time, we'll see whether or not they do. Doesn't look like they're going to make a pit stop here this time. As they're coming up on some slower traffic, that's coming up on the 29 machine right now. That's going to be the Jay Wilson machine. So again, putting that car another lap down, but looks like our overall leaders, they're going to stay out for at least another couple more laps. Again, we're right at the 1 hour mark left to go in this race.
Yeah, and so I think what we're going to do here, we've got going to have a little interview here in just a few moments, but let's take a quick break. Thanks to our partners and sponsors, and when we come back, we'll bring you more action here from the 48 hours at Sebring here on Driver's Eye Live. We'll be right back.
Pirelli and Porsche have been a winning combination around the racing world for years. Pirelli is proud to bring that relationship to PCA Club Racing yet again in 2025. Make sure to see the guys from Frisbee and find the right Pirelli tire for your vehicle, or check them out on the web at frisbeeracetire.com. Pirelli powers nothing without control. Treffen means to meet. That's the entire concept behind the PCA Treffens, an opportunity for PCA members to meet their fellow Porsche enthusiasts in some of the most spectacular locations in North America. PCA's Treffens provide the opportunity for members to drive some of the best roads in North America and enjoy 4- and 5-star hospitality at world-class hotels. The Spring Treffen will be April 30th to May 4th at the Omni Homestead Resort in Hot Springs, Virginia. Break away from the mundane and escape to the Allegheny Mountains, where you can unwind on a 2,300-acre Virginia estate. The Omni Homestead is a 4-diamond host resort that recently completed a $156 million renovation and combines Southern hospitality and elegant charm with premier luxury enjoyed by 23 U.S. presidents and numerous celebrities, movers, and shakers during its illustrious history. The tours will travel on some of the best roads in the Southeast, and you have the opportunity to experience abundant sports and recreational opportunities or indulge in the comforts offered within the resort's luxurious, destination-worthy spa. You will not be disappointed in the opportunities for both stimulation and relaxation. To learn more and register, please visit treffen.pca.org. Our first club racing sponsor, Porsche Cars North America, funds the club racing news and sponsors the Workers' Choice Award, considered the most prestigious award given at a club race. Thank you to PCNA for offering vital support to our club racing program.
Daniel Louise is a licensed agent of New York Life Insurance Company located in Tampa Bay. Daniel and New York Life are committed to helping you protect and grow your lifestyle. With so many options and complex information, making financial decisions isn't always easy. Together, we can create a strategy customized to your situation. Every client is unique, and it's our priority to help you understand your options, meeting today's needs and tomorrow's goals. Visit DanielLouiseJr.com to help face your future with confidence.
Based in New Jersey, Precision Motorsports, or PMR, is a supporter of club racing and a new national sponsor for 2025. From the latest Cup cars to 944 racers, PMR has supported them all here at the track. True experts in their craft and dedicated to performance. Find them on Facebook at Precision Motorsports.
We're not just a one-off experience, we're a call to freedom. We're a place in people's minds where everyone can unleash their wild side with a passport to a world of possibilities. A spirit that breaks all the rules, uniting the famously bold and spirited essence of tequila from Mexico with the much-loved richness of peanut butter. Manibal is the bold embodiment of the party animal within us all. Here is where the ethics starts. Tequila can be purchased nationwide at manibaltequila.com.
Welcome back, everybody, to Sebring International Raceway. It's the 32nd annual 48 Hours at Sebring, presented by Champion Porsche, as well as the Gold Coast and Suncoast regions of the Porsche Club of America. I'm Greg Ginsberg, along with Dick Kelson and Brian Donati. And right now we're going to have Brian give up the headset for a few moments, and we're going to bring in some special guests. We're going to bring in one of our co-chairmen of the event, that is Josh Breckeen, as well as one of our former co-chairmen of the 48 Hours of Sebring, that is Dan Smithyman. Correct, Dan? I got it right?
Got it.
Because usually my memory, I remember things for about 25 seconds. I want to thank you all for joining us. We brought Josh and Dan in, and along with Dick, to talk a little bit about the event itself, the 48 Hours of Sebring, and also, to give a flavor and a feel for Porsche Club of America. And so first off, I want to welcome both of you here. And
Pleasure to be here.
Yeah, definitely. I would say on behalf of all of us, and we just want to say how amazing Driver's Eye is to start with. We've told them off air plenty of times, but they are doing an unbelievably great job. Thank you, guys.
Yeah, absolutely. And thank you, obviously, for being such gracious hosts and really making our job very easy, even making Dick's job easy, which is which is
always helps.
It's what we live for.
So, I guess we get started. Obviously, this is the first time Driver's Eye Live has covered a national event for PCA and PCA Club Racing. Why don't you tell us a little bit about the 48 Hours of Sebring? Obviously, with PCA Club Racing being around for, well, now I guess 32 years. This has been around since the beginning. Tell us a little bit about the history.
Yeah, so I would say, this is Josh, and I'm going to say what I know, and then I'm going to get Dan to say as well. So I believe that we were, the 48 Hours being 32nd annual, it was 1 year after the first club race. So I think club race has been going 33 years, correct? Yes.
Yes.
And we were the second club race, I believe, on the schedule.
Wow.
Dick, and this is Dick, who's been here forever and the whole time. And yeah, it's
the
been
bad
amazing.
news is his memory's failing, so there's that.
And so, I've been, I believe, involved for about 16 years. Dan's been longer for me.
20.
That's why, yeah.
About 20.
And Dan and I worked together as co-chair for many, many years. We think probably about 8 to 10-ish or so. And then, Dan unfortunately abandoned me and trying to retire out of all this stuff. But the 48 is amazing. Yes, we keep, being told it's the star of all the club races, which we do love, and we love to hear that, but also we know we're just a big part of a huge race series.
All right, real quick, and we're going to continue on in a second. I just wanted to update everybody. We have gone to a full course caution that unfortunately, as we were talking, I didn't catch where the incident around track is. We'll try and pick that up. But of course, with that full course caution, that means that the pit lane is now closed. So we're not going to see drivers coming down for their mandatory pit stops, and unfortunately, and it sounds like we've got 2 different cars off, and I think it might be over by turn. We can see one over by turn 1, the exit of turn 1, and I think that may be the last one to recover. So hopefully we'll be going back to green flag racing in just a moment here. But you see here now where the safety car has picked up the field. So let's go back while we're under full course caution here. And I guess this is the perfect time. We've got a captive audience, so let's talk a little bit about this. So Has this been a joint event between the two regions
Yes,
pretty
it
much
has.
since the inception?
It has. Since the very beginning, it's been a joint event between the Suncoast region and the Gold Coast region. And that's why there's always two co-chairs, and some of the other higher positions on the committee, they're split. They like the grid because it's a big job. So
Sure.
there's always two people, a Gold Coast chair and a Suncoast chair for that, and a couple other places too. So the Gold Coast region is the South Florida, down in the Miami area, and Suncoast is up in the Tampa area.
Okay.
We're not next door neighbors per se, but we do communicate well.
Yeah, and again, all I can go by is what I've seen here, and not just at the event, but also all the planning, and having with other organizations being involved in organizing some large-scale racing events. I know what can be involved with this, and how difficult a task it can be to bring together many different people and different specialties and what have you to make one of these go off. And I can tell you, it has been from what I've seen, and indeed we are going to be going back to full green flag racing here this next time by. I want to congratulate you, because this is one of the smoothest, most well-run events I've ever attended, and so as long as everybody, the Admiration Society is going on here. Dan, how long have you been involved with PCA and?
I started with PCA in the early, I think 2001 was my first year with PCA. Started off with my 1976 911.
Okay.
And started autocrossing and morphed into a little bit of driver's ed. And from that, my cart became no longer street legal. went ahead with that until it was time for me to. I've now retired from this event and also retired from driving, because as I retired from working, started traveling more and doing other things, and I've enjoyed my 20 whatever years with PCA very much, and so I'm still a hanger-on with this event, offering to support Josh and the others as much as I can. I get to pick and choose my jobs now, though. It's a much less stressful environment.
And he chose to work with you, Josh? Is that what I'm hearing?
Well, he didn't choose it, but yeah. But I would also like to say, Dan, what we usually try to do, I was going to say, when you're saying about the two regions melding together, what's nice as well is a lot of both coasts know each other already during this because of the driver's ed as well.
Sure.
So pretty much a lot of these guys, Suncoast and Gold Coast driver's ed programs, even though they're technically separate, there's a lot of
yeah, of course.
And so what normally happens as well is a lot of us committee people, including a lot of our volunteers, luckily get to work, quote unquote, the event for many years before they come into this position.
Right.
Dan, unfortunately, got thrust into it by PCA National in a good way, and thank goodness for all of us.
But it's a fun story because I was on the committee. I was the communications officer, which meant I brought the radios and handed them out and took them back and charged them. And it was a beautiful thing. And at the time I was president of the region, I got a call from the national president saying, okay, so you and the Suncoast president are going to take over as chairman. And I'm like, okay. What about me being the communications officer qualifies me to be the chair of the event? And he said, you know what you have a committee, and every person on that committee knows what they're doing, and all you do is felicitate their ability to do what they do, make sure they can do what they do. And, my watchword was, I don't know, but I know who knows.
Right.
When someone asked me a question, it was like, oh, take that to the registrar. So,
and that's a nice thing. We always think that roughly pretty much every one of our committee members and a lot of our volunteers, the average longevity with this, 10 years.
At least, yeah.
I mean, that's amazing.
That's quite a bit. Yeah. So, Josh, what brought you to PCA?
Well, PCA was 914. I went from a VW Beetle, my first car, to a 914. So then I was like, oh, I love Porsches. They go a little faster.
Right.
And that was when I was 19, I guess.
Okay.
Yeah. And then I stopped PCA for a long, long time. And then his daughter Crystal and I are very close. And then we started doing drivey stuff again and did, the same slippery slope as all of us drivers know, right? It was either then turn the street car into a race car or get a race car.
That's how I think we could all tell that exact same story right there. Yeah, I mean, that's how I got into it, and actually the way I started racing was, well, eventually I rode off a street car doing HPDE, and the next step was, I shouldn't be using a street car to go on track.
Something a little more purposeful.
Exactly. Yeah. So there you go. Why don't you tell us a little bit? Unfortunately for Brian and I, the series itself, the yearly series, we've got I think 24 events across the country this year. How does the 48 Hours of Sebring slot in, and what kind of component does it play in this much larger national series?
I'll be happy to tell you that it is obviously the first event of the year.
Sure.
We run typically the end of January or the first weekend of February, fall right after the Daytona 24. But it is also, and again, I can say this now because I am no longer the chairman of the event, it is also considered to be the gold standard. We always have people from national coming here to train. We'll often have at least 2 stewards in training or scroots in training, so because they come here because they want to see how it ought to be done. And with Josh's expertise this year, it's considered to be one of the best events we ever ran. With obviously the live streaming has been a huge upgrade. And we've had a couple. We did night racing again this year for the first time in 10 years.
We think 12 maybe or something. Yeah.
So
2016.
This event, this particular event has been fantastic, and the feedback has been tremendous.
Yeah, and one of the things I like about this event, and again, coming from a background of organizing different events for other automobile organizations, the ability to integrate many of your different programs into one event, and even if you're not taking part in multiple components of that event, but be able to see how your fellow members are enjoying the ownership experience, to have solo or autocross here, to have HPDE programs, to have the road racing all in one place. I mean, we talk about Porsche Club of America, and it's bringing all of these people that have a common interest together over the course of a weekend.
Correct. I mean, I think Dan and I are pretty much always on the same page. And one of the big things that we always think as well is that this event, yes, it's for racers. I mean, it's a club race, but it's also for PCA members.
Right.
So obviously all the volunteers, they need an experience as well.
Right.
Autocrossers, highly important. Driver's ed, so the HBDE, the Advanced Solo Group, fantastic as well.
Sure.
Everybody should be involved. It should be every part of PCA that comes to each club race.
Right.
We try to get the word out because we do some social event type stuff in the evenings, and we always try to get the word out to people. Hey, this is a Porsche Club of America event. If you're a member, you don't have to be a race driver. Come on up, and I spend some of my time taking people around in my golf cart. I can take them out to turn 17 and let them watch the cars coming down, coming in hot, and I can, with access that we've got, we can take people through the paddock, and just driving through the paddock is an amazing experience with all the trucks and the race teams and the cars driving around everywhere. It's unbelievable for some people. They come here and they're astonished by the scale and scope.
Yeah,
like the rest of club racing at the start, everything was just a 2-day event. There was no Enduro back then, and yeah, we got in right at the beginning when half the Porsche Club said, "You're crazy. You guys can't put on a race. It'll never work." And here we are 30 plus years later.
Well, and that's something, I've seen, again, working with other organizations where, there are just like there are people now growing up that may not be so interested in wheel-to-wheel racing. There are the racers that for years grew up doing sprint racing, doing these shorter 20, 30, 40-minute races. And those, especially if they have the opportunity to share a car with another driver, at a non-professional level event, to have these endurance races, they don't have to be 4, they don't have to be 8 hours, but something manageable like a 90-minute race, it allows you to bring more people into the fold. It creates, I think, much more excitement through the paddock, and it doesn't mean you end up excluding people where maybe it's not their cup of tea.
Yeah.
So.
And that's what I love about a lot of the club races, but it definitely can speak about Sebring, is so, one, as Dan said, so we are scheduled after the Rolex.
Right.
So many times we get Rolex drivers, so pro drivers, and even Pro-Am drivers, driving alongside autocrossers.
Right.
Or more like Dan and myself, guys who would bring R944 on a trailer, his 911 on a trailer type thing, and be on the same track with these guys. And that is fantastic to see and feel. It's definitely more of a full democratic field,
Yeah, indeed. So, this being the 32nd year, do we have any plans in the books already for year number 33, what we're going to be doing?
Well, we're going to have it.
Planning starts tomorrow morning.
Does it? Okay.
I was going to say that, the good and the bad, so the 48 hours is the first race of the season, which is great, and we love it. We definitely don't take light of that. The downside for an organizer is that when we need to start planning, the previous season is still going.
Right.
So when we try to get everybody from the teams to the sponsors to even the national organizers' attention to say we need to start
they're
planning.
still consumed with another 23 events.
Completely understand that. I commiserate it, but it does make the job.
Yeah, and especially when you look, the PCA Club Racing schedule runs all the way into November, which doesn't leave.
And then there's the holidays.
Right, exactly.
The bad news about that schedule is that it's a rolling schedule. So the first event of the year, that's Sebring. Well, after the first event of the year, Sebring's removed from the calendar.
Right.
We go the whole year.
Yeah, you're now placed down.
But they don't even put it on the bottom of the calendar. It's just gone. Here's what's left on the calendar, and that's 12 months later. We're back.
So I'm going to do a little telethon thing. This is speaking to all you registrants out there, all you drivers. Please register early. It makes our life so much easier. You can get your golf carts, you can get the food. That's our biggest ask is getting the registrations done in December if we can.
Yeah, we have that break in the middle for the holidays where there's no activity, and then boom, the event is on top of us.
Yep. And everybody, we always
scramble.
joke. Everybody waits for the 14. The 2-week forecast to see if the weather's going to be good in Florida. Come on. It's always going to be better than Minnesota this time of year.
Absolutely.
So you don't need to look at the forecast, everybody.
Be nice.
But saying that, I do want to say as well, that's what's also cool about the 48 is it's become the second home for a lot of Canadians and Minnesotians and Michiganites.
Yeah.
And we love it. I love seeing the same people who hauled down all the way from up there. And needless to say, they love it, but I personally just really, really love it.
Yeah, I think again, I've seen with numerous signature events, there are the events that you get the regulars, not just the locals, but you mark it on your calendar. And I think a lot of the way to how you conduct an event and all the things that you do to bring people together, obviously, makes people want to come back year after year. So as such, and I think we're going to wrap things up here in just a second. Make your pitch on why a new Porsche owner should join Porsche Club of America.
Well, that's easy. They own a Porsche. That's that's a simple one. But
we've talked about so many other reasons why.
True. What are you going to do? Join the Ferrari club? No.
Come on.
But no, PCA. The cool thing about PCA is it has something for everything. So if somebody just wants to do the social stuff only, they can do the social stuff only. Right. If they want to do track driving, of course they can do track driving. And PCA, for example, track driving is pretty much considered by everybody the safest and most well organized of pretty much all the other organizations, right? Okay. But one thing I will say is what I do always wish is that those two groups would always meld more together. Get the social people come out to the track, and we need to go do more social stuff.
Right.
But then again, going back to your original question, and politician, of course, to answer it is there is it doesn't cost very much money, as a Porsche owner, of course. And then the access they have to everything from activities to information to insurance to all those things.
And then there's the people.
Right.
And that's always been the statement. It's not just the cars, it's the people. Right. And, we have friends that we've had for 20 years that we are really friends. That are people that I would spend the rest of my time with. And I know that's the social stuff is great and the racing stuff is great, but when you're there, it's the people that make the difference.
True. All right, and with that, I think that's probably a good place for us to end. We'll get back to some racing. Want to thank Josh Breckeen, one of our co-chairmen of this year's 48 Hours Sebring, and also Dan Smithyman, former co-chair of the event here. I want to thank you both for joining us. And again, from all of us here with Driver's Eye Live, we want to certainly thank you all for all the hospitality that you've shown us here this weekend. It's been wonderful.
Thank you very much.
Our pleasure. Thanks for having us.
All right, there you go, everybody. let's get back to some racing action here at Sebring International Raceway. All right, so let's take a look here as we're going to go and break things down here, and it is Rene Robichaux. He is your overall leader here on track, and he leads the GTA 4 class with Thomas Gruber now running in second position. In GTA 3, we're showing now currently a lap down. I believe that is because we did have the Gruber car come in. Keith Jessic currently running third. He is your GTC 7 leader, with Jonathan Draper, your leader in GTC 6, running fourth overall. The 711 machine, which we know came down the pit lane just before we went to break, that is the Dean N. Davis silver GT3 Cup car, currently running fifth overall.
Tell you what, Greg. Looking at the timing and scoring, I don't believe Robichaux has come down the pit lane yet.
Right.
Looking at the number of
He
laps,
started to move up.
Right. Again, remember, started all the way in the back, coming up through there in that number 84 machine. So we'll have to see. I believe we may have, again, we're starting to see some pit stops now. Again, as you were doing that interview, and I believe Gruber may be on the. Maybe just coming off pit lane, or is on pit lane right now, waiting for that service. Maybe a little bit further back in our shot, or may have just gone back out.
Yeah,
we'll
I think
pick that up.
As a matter of fact, we show him as having crossed the timing loop, and I think that is the case. That he is now possibly on his out lap. And as you mentioned, I'm showing that Rene Robichaux, it is 24 laps. Since his last pit stop, and given that he's on lap number 25,
means he has not pitted
stopped
yet.
Yep, exactly. And so, hey, everybody in the chat, want to thank you all. We had Mark Madison, who apparently was a little offended that Josh and Dan said that you'd never want to join the Ferrari club. But want to thank you all for listening in, and so happy to have Josh and Dan and the whole crew here from both the Gold Coast and Suncoast regions of PCA. And I think Dick, I'm sure you can confirm, we have a number of members, not from the two host regions, but from all around the Eastern Seaboard that come down to help with this event as well and volunteer at this event.
Yes, I am a Peach State region member now, but I was a Suncoast member when we started this madness.
Well, I think the folks in Georgia should be very happy to have you. As I think Chris Olson now, Brian, coming onto the pit lane in the number 7 GTC 3 car now, and pitting in from the lead. And I think we had already seen Michael Levitas, our only other GTC racer, already pit in. As I think we've got a I think we had a car go off over at the Sunset Bend, and not in our view. It's the 03. Yeah, but it's not in our.
It went through there. I think it was on the screen. We saw it on the screen as it went through. But it's not in the view right now. Which
You're right. That's what I was trying. That's what I was trying to infer. And that was Sunil Nandigam in the 03 car, the yellow 997.2 machine in the GTC 5 class, and I believe our sole racer in that class. As he was working his 21st lap, was yet to pit at the time. As we now have the 73 car on the pit lane.
Yanni was sitting in 6th overall in that GTD2. Wow. We got to shorten some of these numbers and shorten some of these letters as we get going here. The GD class and the GT class.
and so with Yanni, I believe he was already 2 laps up on Mark Hook and Rami Farid. So we'll see here, and I don't know if either of those machines came down the pit lane yet, although they're showing 2 laps down.
I was going to say, I would assume that Mark Cook and Rami Farid has come down pit road, being 2 laps down there. you'll see as Bayeriani will start to move down a little bit. If that happens, probably end up with Cook and Farid one lap down here. That will let us know whether or not they've definitely made their pit stop. But I assume that they have definitely looked at it again with just right around 33 minutes left to go. And then looking at the screen earlier on, we had an abundance of cars bouncing back and forth on and off of pit road to make that 5 minute clock. And Thomas Gruber, who was the overall leader in that GTA 3, and then Tony Karlinskis in that 313 machine. Those were our early leaders. We know Rene Robichaux has not made a pit stop. I don't believe Jonathan Draper has made a pit stop yet either.
Right.
We'll have to see there. That's the GTC 6 class. We'll try to pick up where that is. But I don't believe that he has made a pit stop. I think Jeffrey Smith, he looks like he's off the track. I know that he had an issue on the restart.
Yes.
After we went to that double yellow quickly, right as you were doing the interviews there, went to the double yellow, and then all of a sudden the green flag came back out. That one car, I think, had a problem over in turn 5. Made that turn, went outside the racetrack to bring it back. Smith ended up pulling that car off, so that he's showing 5 laps down. So your GTC 6 leader right now, Jonathan Draper, like I said, I don't believe he has made a pit stop yet.
They haven't really reached the worrying time yet as far as getting the pit stop.
They've got, as we have just a touch over 30 minutes remaining. Yeah, maybe they're around 10-15 minutes away from that worry time. As looks like we've got the number 7 machine, Chris Olson, heading down the pit lane, having completed his service, and now heading back out on track. The 7 car currently sitting 21st overall, and your leader in GTC 3, actually I believe Mike Levitas, the only other racer that was scheduled for GTC 3, I don't believe we saw him take to the track for the race today.
Yeah, looking over some of these stats, it looks like, again, as we mentioned, Robichaux is not pitted yet. I think Draper may be on pit road now, either coming in or is in at the very top. There, it looks like he had driven, 24, almost 25 laps there before that, and I'm seeing that him starting to drop down. So I do believe the 62 is on pit road. Now, when I look at our data, the laps run since the last pit stop. Keep an eye on some of the other ones. It looks like that may be on pit road or getting ready to pit road now. So it looks like the last group of drivers just now getting to pit road with about 30 minutes left to go. So again, that 20-minute window that they have before pit road is completely closed.
And Brian, I think that's probably a perfect segue, because as we're just now at about 30 minutes remaining in this 90-minute endurance race, let's take a quick break. Thanks to our partners and sponsors, and we'll bring you all the way to the checkered flag here at the 48 Hours of Sebring. We'll be right back.
A household name in U.S. road racing for nearly 25 years, Toyo Tires has forged a reputation for winning, performance, and consistency. From the company's legendary Proxys RA1 to the 2-groove Proxys RR, they have a history of getting drivers to the winner's circle. Their quality and performance extends beyond the track, offering owners a full line of premium tires for coupes to Cayennes. They are proud to build many of the tires right here in the United States at their state-of-the-art factory in Bartow County, Georgia. We thank them for their support of Porsche Club of America through club racing and the high-performance driver education program. Be sure to check out their contingency program if you race SP1 or Spec Boxster. To learn more about the full line of Toyo tires, visit www.toyotires.com.
OG Racing has been a national sponsor of PCA Club Racing since 1998. Headquartered in Sterling, Virginia, and staffed by PCA members and club racers, OG Racing has always carried the industry's best in racing safety equipment and performance parts. The best products from manufacturers like Sparco, OMP, Alpine Stars, helmets from Bell, Stilo, Rue, brake pads from Performance Friction, Paget and Hawk, just to name a few, and are always in stock and ready to ship from their 12,000 square foot warehouse. Give OG Racing a call or visit them at www.ogracing.com and sign up for their newsletter.
New for 2025, Isringhausen will be sponsoring the GTD 1, 2, and 3 classes. Our group here at Club Racing are thrilled to have them on board. Over the past 30 years, Isringhausen has become synonymous with quality vehicles and superb service. The Isringhausen way of doing business has been one of offering excellent products at fair prices, coupled with service that goes above and beyond what anyone would expect from a typical car dealership. We believe that good service is comprised of 2 components, a willing and helpful attitude, accompanied by competency in your field. We try to support an environment where each person who works here strives to serve each customer as they wish to be served, with dignity and respect. Because of these core values, Isringhausen has become and will continue to be a leading example in the industry.
Miller's Oils is proud to be a Porsche Club Racing sponsor and to work with Racer's Edge as their North American distributor. Miller's Oils has been blending oil since 1887 and has an extensive product line for virtually every street or racetrack application. The technology implemented in Miller's engine oil and gear oils protects the wear surfaces of your engine and gear train on a microscopic level, significantly reducing friction and increasing the life of your engine and gear train. We encourage you to try Miller's and judge for yourself with the help of an oil sample analysis. As they say, the proof is in the pudding.
Welcome back, everybody, to the 48 Hours of Sebring, the 32nd annual 48-hour, as well as the Gold Coast and Suncoast regions of the Porsche Club of America. I'm Greg Ginsburg, along with Dick Kelson and Brian Donati, and we have less than 30 minutes remaining in this 90-minute endurance race, the last race of the weekend. And as we've got our drivers, and I'm looking at the pit lane, Brian, right now. Pit lane looks
rather bare.
Rather bare. There you go. So there's one car there down at the end of the pit lane. I'm wondering if that's not the safety car, but we'll check on that in a moment. But wanted to acknowledge some racers here, that for every race at a Porsche Club of America race, the volunteers, the flaggers and other volunteers acknowledge and present a Workers' Choice Award to, this is not an award given to the overall winner or necessarily a class winner, but the racer in each race that I think provides the most enjoyment to the volunteers. And I want to go and acknowledge them. We're going to start off with Sprint Race 1. Those are our races yesterday morning from our yellow group. Rob Walker was your Workers' Choice Award winner, driver of the number 171 Spec Boxster. Roland Krantz took the award in the green Sprint Race 1 in the number 19 GTD3 machine. Rene Robichaux taking the award and winning the award in his number 91, I think, GTA machine. So congratulations to them. In Sprint Race 2, those were our 3 sprint races yesterday afternoon. Chris Pashley won the award, the Workers' Choice Award, in the yellow group, with Jens Hansen in the number 244 machine winning in the green group. And then Bob Mueller, your Workers' Choice Award for sprint number 2 in the red race. Now let's take a look, and I think I passed up one here. We're going to jump over, and I apologize, Jordan, for jumping around. Jonathan Weissman, driver of the number 100 GTC 8 Porsche 944. He was your winner for the very first race that we covered here this weekend, Friday night's sprint race. So congratulations to him, and I believe he was also recognized at the award ceremony on Friday evening. But besides awarding these Workers' Choice Awards to our racers, we're also awarding this event to our HPDE driver education racers as well. or drivers as well, and there are 3 racers that we would like to go and acknowledge. We've got Anthony Castronovo, driver of the number 328 car, John Holland in the number 115 car, and Kevin Hennessy in the number 993 Porsche. Again, all Workers' Choice Award winners from our high performance driving experience group. And of course, they're going to have some more track time a little bit later this afternoon. So congratulations to all of our Workers' Choice Award winners this weekend. We will also be naming Workers' Choice Award winners for the 2 different endurance racers. If we get that information before the broadcast is over, we'll be happy to pass that along.
Yeah, I tell you what, Greg, we've got a major development that has happened in our GTA 3 class. Tony Karlinskis now has taken over the overall lead, getting past Thomas Gruber. The last time by, they came through turn 1 and came through turn 2 and 3. That was a major, major development as Thomas Gruber got really, really out of shape right there. They're crossing the start-finish line now, headed down into turn 1. There you can see that huge gap. The last time by, it was a 1/10 of a second, but Gruber got, as I said, got really out of shape going through turns 2 and turns 3. Ended up really getting loose coming out of turn 5, and that just propelled Karlinskis that big gap as you see right there on the screen. So again, major development as Gruber was way ahead of Karlinskis.
So what we might be seeing is that Gruber, and we know Gruber was pushing the car very, very hard early on in this race. He may have started to run those rear tires off a little bit early. It sounds like he was having some major issues on one of the tighter portions of this track. And so, you know, now as the gap between the 2 cars is somewhere, looks to be somewhere around 10 car lengths, maybe a second or so, this may come down to the length of their pit stops because neither driver has come down the pit lane for service at this point.
I believe they have. I believe they have come down through the.
I might have to check our because our timing and scoring is showing that that it's been 27 laps since they pitted.
I do believe they have both come down the pit lane already. I could be wrong there, but I'm almost positive I saw both of them come down. And if not, then you're right. It means that
I'm showing 29 laps since they pitted, so
that's a little bit tough since they only run 27 laps.
Yeah,
so
that would be difficult, wouldn't it?
That's that math you've got going on. You may want to put your shoes back on, but
no, they're actually working lap 30 right now, Brian.
Okay, all right. So
we're all having timing and scoring issues right now as I've refreshed all of them.
Well, again, then they only have 11 minutes to get that pit stop come in and get those pit stops done. If they have not been out there. But, you know, early on we saw this where Karlinskis got out to a big lead. Gruber ran him down.
Right.
And then Karlinskis came back. That's why, you know, during the interview I was watching some of that. I thought maybe Karlinskis and both Gruber had already pitted to come down through there. So that will be interesting to see if Gruber comes down pit road anytime soon, and maybe he puts four tires on that car.
Well, they certainly haven't done it. They haven't done it yet, as they are now starting a lap number 31, and at the start-finish line, Brian. That prior lap, pretty disastrous for Thomas Gruber, as he is now almost 6.5 seconds back from Tony Karlinskis.
Totally dropped off there. You can see Karlinskis now coming out of turn 5, headed down through there, passing one of our lap cars. I think that's the 90 machine right there that they just put a lap. That's Nicole Robichaux. As they head down into the hairpin down there in turn 7. So again, if those tires for Gruber have really fallen off, they have fallen off quite hard, and it could be that they are getting ready to put tires on that when they come in for that 5-minute stop. But again, you've got 9 minutes until the official pit road closes that they won't be able to make it. So they're going to have to make a decision here pretty quickly to get in there.
Yeah, I mean, probably the worst thing that could happen would be much like, Dick, in our last endurance race, where we had a full course caution come out with what, actually, I guess it came out just under 10 minutes remaining. But again, the racers, they need to stop for their mandatory 5-minute minimum pit stop no later than minute 80. And we're just now hitting minute 70. Actually, we've just crossed over the 70-minute range.
Yeah.
So about 9 minutes to make that decision and come down the pit lane.
or be DQ'd.
Correct.
I once ran an endurance race, and my 5-minute minimum pit stop was 4 minutes. What they did is it wasn't how long you were in the pit stall. It included a specified transit time for the pit lane, and I was about 3/4 of a second too quick. And ended up it was a pretty hateful penalty because it was a 30-second time penalty. I got pushed back 3 positions because of that from the lead, finished off the podium in 4th.
I think we saw that when we covered the fall race, where we had some drivers that missed the pit window by a minute.
That's right.
And came down pit road.
Too
and
late.
Basically, they let them go ahead and do the pit stop, go out and finish it. But then it was a minute penalty because I believe, and if somebody's in the chat, you can correct me here, but I believe whatever you missed that by is the length of your penalty.
Right.
Because we ended up having drivers that had over a minute to a minute and a half penalty added to their time at the end of the run, and that moved them back. I think we had one driver that should have finished second in that group and ended up finishing 4th because the driver that was in 4th was within that minute. I believe it was a minute and a half on there. So we'll see. But yeah, if neither one of those drivers have pitted, they're going to have to make a decision pretty quickly. Well, at 2 minutes a lap, I don't think it needs to be pretty quickly, but they could be pushing it right to the end there in order to have that. So
and so I'm starting to figure also that given how long both Karlinskis and Gruber have gone, we did see a couple of drivers take on new tires. I'm thinking that probably if they're going to leave only about 15 minutes remaining, that they may not take on tires. We do have a local caution over at turn 15, and it may be I think that's the Gruber car, the 991 machine.
Oh.
And the word that I'm getting from race control is that that car impacted the wall. Drivers left. And you can kind of see, you can see the marking on the tire wall, but I think you can almost see it on the side of the car as well. And so certainly a challenge there. And just as we were talking, whether or not Karlinskis or Gruber would take on new tires, and we thought maybe a little bit earlier when Gruber had issues
maybe he needed
coming
to take
through
on
turn
new
3,
tires.
he may have gone to the point past the point of no return.
Mm-hmm. I think we're determining whether or not they're going to go to a full course caution. I think with that car over there with a little bit of that impact. I know it is outside, out of the way of the of the track, but I don't believe that that would be something we would want to have out there if we have to attend to that car.
All right, and it sounds like Gruber is out. I think may have head towards the wall there, get out of the way. But I'll tell you, if I was Tony Karlinskis at this point, Brian, I would be heading to the pit lane the next time by because of a full course caution comes out.
Yeah, it stops the clock, and again, we're right at 5 minutes
before that window
closes.
Yeah.
So, and again, that is the only battle, that he has in GTA 3, right? Is Thomas Gruber. So it's only those two. So again, maybe
And Brian, here is the word. Race control has determined that we are going to full course caution here at Sebring International Raceway with 14 minutes and 40 seconds remaining. That essentially closes the pit lane. And so for those racers that have not yet taken a pit stop, they've got to hope that this full course caution is less than 14 minutes and 20 seconds. And not only that, it's less than 14 minutes, less than 4 minutes and 20 seconds. And that they are right coming into 17 right when that caution comes back.
Well, it's not Gruber because Gruber just went by the start-finish line. So that car over there is not Thomas Gruber.
Okay.
He just went by. There's a car in between him and Karlinskis, and I believe that was the 3 car that I saw that was in between this. So that's Lou Urio.
Okay.
So you've got Karlinskis, then you've got Urio, and then you've got Thomas Gruber that just went by. But again, Greg, what that does is if neither one of those drivers have pitted right now, it's got to be a quick caution here in order for them to get down pit road and take that 5 minutes.
Yeah, and there is somebody in the chat that said Karlinskis had pitted already.
I thought I had saw him down on the camera as I pitted, so I believe he is safe. Now, I don't know about Gruber because I may have missed that when you were in the interview, but I'm almost positive, as I said, TK came down pit road earlier on.
Okay. We might have to talk to Brendan about his timing and scoring software.
I was going to say, it does not trip that. So it's kind of hard to determine that. But I remember looking at the screen and seeing him down there. And I think they just did fuel only. I don't believe they did time.
And Peter in the chat is saying that that Gruber pitted in as well.
I thought so.
Okay. God, Peter, you're taking away all the drama from us here.
Well, I know I didn't miss those. Thank you, Peter. And now Greg and I have conversation on the way home.
Yep.
I know I didn't miss the pit stops. That is my key strategy.
Peter's fault. Thanks, Peter.
That means Greg gets to stop at Dairy Queen on the way to the airport, and I get a free ice cream.
He gets a free ice cream. Or a free pachka. What are the two?
Don't even
might
start
be,
that.
Might be making a stop at
run?
Publix.
Yeah, don't be making that run.
Yeah, I've found a new favorite pastry.
Yes, I have too. You're exactly right.
All right, so the safety car has picked up Tony Karlinskis, driver of the number 313 GTA 3 Cup car, and as you said, Thomas Gruber in the 991 machine running second. The Davis machine of the number 711 running in third, and then the pairing of DeJesus and Yardley, the 121 GTA 4 machine, running in fourth position, and that car was quite a distance back on track, and I think still working its way through some slower traffic. It's not in that lead group there, and I'm showing it as being about almost a full minute back, although there is a good-sized gap here, as you can see from our top cars. John Getz in the GTC 8 Cup car, currently running 5th overall, your leader in GTC 8. With the Stafford Friedman car, 7th overall, second in that class. In GTC 7, Keith Jessick is your leader, and we're getting word now from race control that the safety car, you can see the lights are still on. We're going to have one more lap under caution, and then we should be, with just a little bit less than 10 minutes remaining, going back to green flag racing.
And Greg, you just talked about the 911 there of Keith Jessick. He's leading that GTC 7. He's got a full lap over Lou Urio. Remember, Lou is in between Karlinskis and Thomas Gruber. So I would assume and I would hope that at the start of this restart, when we go back to green, that Urio moves over driver's left to allow Gruber to get up in there. I think that there's been some communications there. And actually, I do not see Thomas Gruber come by. So we see a car coming down the pit road. Jordan, if we can pick up that is Thomas Gruber right there.
So you know what?
I'm almost positive that is Thomas Gruber.
Peter, maybe you didn't screw it up. Maybe you did screw it up. Yeah, he's coming down the pit lane. Let's see.
He's going to stop there right outside our camera shot, so it should be right down near in front of us, possibly. Just don't dive out the window there.
No, I'm not going to do that. But that is going to drop him down through the order now, as he's going to finish at least a lap down from our overall leader, Tony Karlinskis. Real quick, Dick, before we go back to green flag racing, I know we've been announcing the new start time for our Silver Solo group. Why don't we do that at least one more time here now?
Can do. Advanced Solo, your session will start at 1:50. 1:50 for Advanced Solo. Thank you.
All right, so again, next time by, we will be going back to green flag racing as the safety car now bringing the field down into turn 7 into the hairpin here. So about a half a lap to go, and I've tried looking for the Gruber machine on the pit lane to see if he parked it on the pit lane. Again, it was just past where our cameras are, so a little bit hard to tell. There are a couple of pit stalls that are not seen by our cameras, and I can't tell if he brought that car back behind the wall or not.
It looked like he was headed towards that direction.
Yeah.
It did not look like he was going to stop. So we'll pick that up. I'm still not,
Jordan, is it possible? Can we get the turn 1 camera, because we may be able to see if he is at the far end of the pit lane or not. And there is one car there just beyond the Mobile 1 bridge. Just to the left of the M on the Mobile 1 bridge, and I can't tell if it's him. And unfortunately, even if I look out our window from the announce booth here, Brian, I can't see that far down. Yeah. So we shall see.
And again, if it was his time to make that pit and he missed that window, that again, that's the untimely, full course caution that we have here. Again, it is all about strategies, and sometimes you miss those strategies depending on when those full course cautions come out.
Well, our racers shouldn't miss the fact that the lights are now out on the safety car, Brian, and we will be going back to green flag racing this next time by. Okay, your top drivers right now, Tony Karlinskis, he leads the GTA 3 class. The pairing of Dean and Davis in the number 711 machine, they're running second overall. They are your GTA 4 leaders, with the pairing of DeJesus and Yardley running second in class, third overall, and they are right there in that grouping. Thomas Gruber in the 991 machine, he is running fourth overall, second in GTA 3. John Getz, your GTC 8 leader, he is running fifth overall there. And then Rene Robichaux, the pairing of Stafford Freeman, Jessic Dooley, and the two Asplund drivers in the number 85 machine. They are sitting in 10th as the green flag now being shown to our leader, Tony Karlinskis, in the Davis machine, looking for a way around, coming into turn number 1. And Brian, going around the outside, great jump from DeJesus and Yardley's. I think they've both they and John Getz got really good starts there. And you can see now Karlinskis, he is under pressure. He's only got he's got to hold these drivers off for about probably 3 laps here. But this is probably the most that he's been under pressure in, well, about 10 laps.
For a little while, yes, and that's the Davis machine. What a great start by Davis. Also, Urio, I talked about Lou Urio. He got a great start at the beginning too, and he's going to drop back just a little bit further. We've got that other machine right there in between them. But yeah, Davis getting a great start as the rest of the field comes down into turn 7, down to that hairpin. Again, I do believe Karlinskis is going to be able to hold this group off as they're starting to pull away, coming out of there through there. We'll see. Davis is getting a little bit better drive off than Karlinskis in that machine. Karlinskis gets into the turns a little bit easier, but the drive off just isn't there. One car a little bit wide through there, going through, I believe. I'll have to look and see which one that one. That may have been the 911 of Jessic, I believe, going a little bit wide through that turn.
Yeah, and remember, as we were watching the field here come through, not all of these cars at the front of the pack are front of the order. So we've got some lapped cars here as well, mixed in, as we had somewhere, I think we said 11 different classes running here in this 90-minute race.
Under that 5-minute mark. Yep, so a little bit of a contact there. I believe that's the 262. That is Viola involved in that little contact.
Yeah,
that may be one of the.
I think that was the 85, the 85 car, the Splund car, as well as Joseph Viola. They're 2 out-of-class machines, but running 9th and probably 10th and 11th overall. As we've got our first lap after the return of green flag racing in the books. I'm waiting to hear from race control when we may see that 1 to go sign.
And still 4 minutes left to go, so we may get 2 more laps here. in this, based off of timing that we've seen with Carlinskis. It's running around an average of that 204, 205 time frames for this track. So probably going to see next time by, he'll get one more lap after that. So as we come through turn 7 and head up through the turn 8 and 9.
All right, just got word from race control or from one of our corners that Jonathan Draper, driver of the number 62 GT6 machine, and he lost a number of positions on the start there, Brian. Sounded like as he was starting to bunch up a little bit before the drop of the green flag, might have had some contact possibly with the car ahead. He's left a souvenir for our corner workers, and that souvenir is a front splitter. I think that's the second time we've seen something like that here this weekend.
Yeah. I'll have to see if we can pick him up through there and see how far. Because I think the Viola and the 262 and the 62, I think, have close to the paint schemes being the same. If I remember correctly, looking at those, you've got a blue and the yellow. So I believe the 262 and the 62 are both under the same kind of close paint scheme, if not the same paint scheme, just with a different number for each one.
Yeah, and we saw that Draper there, he did drop a position, and that last time by ran almost 3 seconds slower than any of the cars around him at the time. So that the loss of that front downforce might be affecting that Cup car.
Yeah. Our overall leaders just now took across the start-finish line with roughly 2 minutes and 27 seconds left, Greg. So I think the next time they come by, they should probably receive that one to go. So.
And Brian, I think we just saw the De Jesus Yardley car, the 121 machine, overtake the 711 going into turn number 1. That is indeed the case, and that's given a tiny bit of breathing room to Tony Karlinskis. Did get word that there was another car that had spun over at 15. I'll try and get the number on that, but I believe it has continued here. But now under braking going into 7 with De Jesus, the 121 machine. Taking a quick look.
That is that's the battle for the GTC A4 lead.
The GTA 4 lead, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So Karlinskis in a different class, again in GTA 3, and we had seen some of these fights, between the GTA 4, GTA 3 leaders in our sprint races yesterday. But right now, I'll bet you that the Dean Davis machine, the De Jesus Yardley machine, probably not worrying so much about Karlinskis up ahead.
Yeah, especially when you're battling right there for the lead in the GTA 4 class there. Second and third overall, which is a pretty good showing, but it looks like that De Jesus and Yardley machine is a little bit faster right now.
All right, and as we drop below 1 minute on the clock, our racers should see that sign that they will have 1 lap remaining here at Sebring International Raceway.
Coming down in 17, and Karlinskis has a problem, Greg. Karlinskis going into turn 17, let those guys go on by. Again, not a battle in class right there. Figured let them go ahead and battle it out all the way through. We're getting the 1 to go right now. Karlinskis is, again, letting those 2 guys go. So evidently Karlinskis has a problem on that car, trying to make sure he can get that car back around with 1 more lap to go. Again, pretty big gap between him and the next car actually on the racetrack, and that would be the 57 of John Getz. So again, TK having a problem with that car towards the end of this race.
All right, so now 3 3/4 mile Sebring International Raceway, about a little bit less than 3.5 miles remain for our overall leader, the De Jesus Yardley entry, and it is a battle for the win, not only overall, but in GTA 4 with that 711 machine. It's the blue and white, it's the silver. They are both 992 Cup cars, and they are now coming down into turn number 8. So let's take a look here as they come towards, probably turn 10 as they come towards us now.
Yeah, open that up, pretty big gap right there with Yardley, I believe, in that machine. So Davis a little bit further back again, and I believe Karlinskis has got either some brake problems or they may not have got enough
The
fuel. In the
fuel.
car.
I was just going to say he may be trying to limp that car around, do some fuel savings, just to get to the checkered flag. And it's not going to be like iRacing where you can have another race car push you all the way back around to the pit lane here. As we've got the 121 machine leading the 711, coming out of turn 16 onto the Ullman straight. And it is the very last time. It is this very long straightaway, full throttle. Is the 711 car going to be able to pop to the inside? Not close enough, Brian, about 4, maybe 5 car lengths back. And as they come out of the sunset bend for the very last time, taking the win in the final race of the 32nd annual 48 Hours of Sebring, it is DeJesus and Yardley, the number 121 machines, your overall winners, your GTA 4 winners. The Dean Davis entry, the 711 car, will finish in second. Tony Karlinskis, definitely off speed, brings the 313 machine home. He will be your GTA 3 winner. John Getz in the purple and silver number 57 machine, the Heinz 57. I guess it'll be red Heinz 57. John Getz, he comes home 4th overall. He's your GTC 8 winner. Moving up to 5th is the Stafford and Friedman entry, and that car will finish 2nd in GTC 8. And we've got a driver dropping down through the field, and I think it is Joseph Viola. That just lost a couple positions on the last lap. Let's take a look at some of our other finishers. Keith Jessic will win GTC 7. He finishes 7th overall. Taking the win in GTD 3, it's the Brent and Griffiths Splund Show, the number 85 machine, finishing 8th overall, with Chris Dooley finishing 2nd in the class, just 1.7 seconds back from there. Mark Calzaretto finishes 3rd in that class. He finishes 10th overall. In GTC 8, finishing 3rd in the class, Joseph Viola. He comes home in 11th. In GTC 6, taking the win, Jonathan Draper will finish 14th overall. And I'm gonna switch over to a different view so I can get all the other finishers here. In GTC 3, Chris Olson, our sole racer. He finishes completing all 35 laps. In GTD 2, Mark Cook takes the win in the 581 machine over Rami Farid and Bahar Yani. In GTD 1, Nicole Robichaux, your sole winner, your sole driver in class. We talked about Karlinskis taking the win in GTA 3 with Gruber coming down the pit lane, never returning, finishing 5 laps down. In GT2, the Wilson Meyer entry, our sole racers in class. In GTC 7, we talked about Keith Jessic in the 911 car. Lou Yorio finishes 2nd. Ariel German will finish in 3rd. GTC 5, Sunil Nendigam only completes 21 laps, but your sole racer in the class. And then finally in GTC 6 is Jonathan Draper and Jeff Smith. Whew.
Deep breath there.
Yeah, absolutely.
Take a breath.
Thanks, Peter. Appreciate all the help there with the pit stop strategy.
I get the ice cream. I get the ice cream.
That's right. And Brian is the recipient. So, as we wrap things up here with our racing coverage from Sebring International Raceway in the 48 Hours of Sebring, first off, I think we want to wrap things up. I want to thank all of our viewers here this weekend. So many people joining us for the first national broadcast of PCA Club Racing. We will be back, and we're going to talk about the dates here in just a few moments, but I want to thank all of you. I want to thank all of the organizers and volunteers. We talked to a few of them here in the booth, but all the fine people from the Gold Coast, from the Sun Coast, and many other regions of the Porsche Club of America that do such a fine job in putting on these events. I want to thank our director, Jordan Worth, back home in Concord, North Carolina, pushing all the buttons and giving you all the great views of this action. If you haven't done so and you're watching this on YouTube, give Jordan a big thumbs up there and show him and show all of us how much you liked everything that he did for us this weekend. Of course, I want to thank Brennan Kazmarek from Driver's Eye Live. I want to thank Dick Kelson, the voice of this event, for coming and joining us here this weekend. And of course, we're going to see Dick in early April back at Road Atlanta for another great PCA event. We'll talk about that in just a moment. And of course, Brian, Dick, thank you. You please say something.
It was my pleasure. I really enjoyed it.
Absolutely. Of course, I want to thank my announcing partner in crime, who I never get his first name wrong because his first name is Brian. I want to thank Brian Donati, obviously, for all the hard work that goes into putting on these events. Thank you, Brian.
You're quite welcome. We had a great time here. I'm glad we were able to get down here and do this. And I got to be honest with you, I'm ready for VIR. Let's go. We're doing VIR next week, right? Let's go.
That's right. It's next week. Actually, it is not next week, Brian. But make sure to join us March 21st through 23rd. We will be at Virginia International Raceway, Heaven on Earth, at Sebring, in Danville, Virginia, or Alton, Virginia, whichever you prefer. And then once again, we'll be meeting up with Dick April 11th and 12th at Michelin Raceway Road Atlanta. So for everybody here at Driver's Eye Live, I want to thank you all for joining us, and we'll see you in just a few weeks.